The night settles slowly over the wide and quiet land of ancient Egypt. The air begins to cool, just a little, after a long day of warm sunlight resting gently on the sand and stone. Far away, the dark ribbon of the Nile River moves in silence, its water flowing in a steady, patient rhythm that has not changed for thousands of years. The sky above stretches wide and deep, filled with soft stars that appear one by one, like tiny lamps being lit in a distant world. In this quiet hour, when the heat of the day fades and the wind becomes softer, people begin to slow down. Their movements grow calm. Their voices lower. The work of the day gently comes to an end. There are no bright lights. No loud sounds. Only the faint glow of small oil lamps, flickering inside simple homes made of mud brick. These homes are warm from the day's heat, but the night air slowly begins to slip through small openings, bringing a gentle relief. Inside one of these homes, a family prepares for rest. The floor beneath them is smooth but firm, made of packed earth. It has been carefully swept, again and again, until it feels almost soft to the touch. There are no tall beds, no soft mattresses like the ones we might imagine today. Instead, there are woven mats, laid out with quiet care. These mats are made from reeds that grow along the Nile. Long, thin, and flexible reeds are gathered during the day, dried under the sun, and then woven together by skilled hands. The weaving is simple, but strong. It holds together night after night, offering a place to lie down, close to the earth. A woman gently shakes out one of these mats before placing it on the floor. Dust rises for just a moment, then disappears into the dim light. She smooths it with her hands, pressing it flat, making sure it is ready. Nearby, a child watches quietly, already feeling the slow pull of sleep. The sounds of the outside world begin to fade. The distant voices of neighbors grow softer. Somewhere, a dog shifts in the darkness. The water of the Nile continues its endless journey. There is a deep sense of rhythm in this life. Day follows night. Work follows rest. The sun rises, and the sun sets, always in the same gentle pattern. And sleep, in this ancient land, is not something rushed or forced. It comes naturally, like the cooling air, like the soft wind that moves across the fields. The family gathers together, close to one another. There is comfort in this closeness. No large spaces separate them. No tall furniture stands between them. The room feels simple, open, and calm. Before lying down, they take a few quiet moments. A small oil lamp flickers near the wall. Its flame dances softly, casting slow-moving shadows that stretch and shrink across the room. The light is warm, not harsh. It feels gentle on the eyes. The smell of the day still lingers: dust, dry reeds, and a faint trace of cooked grain. It is not unpleasant. It is familiar. It is the smell of daily life. One by one, they lower themselves onto the mats. The surface is firm, but not uncomfortable. The body slowly adjusts. The earth beneath holds a quiet steadiness. There is something grounding about it, something simple and honest. Some rest their heads on small cushions made of cloth or leather, lightly filled with soft material. Others use something quite different: headrests carved from wood or stone. These headrests are not soft. They are shaped like a curved support, lifting the head slightly above the ground. At first, they may seem unusual, even uncomfortable. But over time, they become familiar. They keep the head cool. They protect carefully styled hair. And they carry a quiet sense of tradition, passed from one generation to the next. A man adjusts his headrest slightly, finding the position that feels just right. He closes his eyes slowly. Outside, the wind moves across the land, brushing lightly against the walls. It carries with it the faint scent of the river and distant plants growing near its banks. The night deepens. And in this stillness, sleep begins to arrive not suddenly, but gently, like a soft wave. In ancient Egypt, sleep is not separated from the world. It is part of it. The sounds of nature are not shut out. They are welcomed. A faint rustle. A quiet breath. The slow movement of air. All of it becomes part of the night. As the family rests, their bodies grow still, their breathing slow and steady. The day's labor fades into memory. The warmth of the sun is replaced by the cool comfort of darkness. And above them, the stars continue their silent journey across the sky. Time moves gently here. There is no hurry. No urgency. Only the quiet passage of night into deeper night. And in homes across the land, from small villages to larger settlements, the same quiet scene unfolds again and again. Mats laid upon the ground. Soft lamps fading. Bodies settling into rest. Sleep, simple and close to the earth. A calm, steady rhythm that has existed for centuries. And as the hours pass, the world grows even quieter. The oil lamp flickers once more, then slowly dims. The room rests in near darkness. Only the soft breath of those asleep remains. And the ancient land continues to dream, just as it always has. The night continues to stretch gently across the land of ancient Egypt, quiet and unhurried, like a slow breath that never quite ends. Inside the small home, the air has cooled a little more. The warmth that once clung to the walls now fades, leaving behind a softer, more comfortable stillness. The woven mats rest flat against the ground, holding the shape of the bodies that lie upon them. There is a quiet balance between firmness and ease, a feeling that the earth itself is supporting each sleeper without effort. Breathing becomes deeper now. Slower. More even. The child who once watched the mat being prepared is now fully asleep, one arm resting loosely at their side. Their fingers move just slightly from time to time, as if reaching for something in a dream that is already forming. The mother lies nearby, her body still, her face calm, her rest steady after a long day of work beneath the sun. The man shifts once, only slightly, adjusting the angle of his wooden headrest. The curved surface holds his neck in place, lifting his head just enough to allow the air to pass freely around him. It is not softness that brings comfort here, but familiarity. The body learns what to expect. And over time, it accepts this simple form of rest. Outside, the world has grown quieter still. The Nile River continues to move, unseen in the darkness, yet always present. Its slow and steady flow is like a distant whisper, too soft to fully hear, yet always felt. Along its banks, reeds sway gently, brushing against one another with the faintest sound. The land breathes in its own quiet way. Somewhere in the distance, a night bird calls once, then falls silent. The sound does not disturb the sleepers. It becomes part of the rhythm of the night, blending into the stillness rather than breaking it. Hours pass, though they do not feel like hours. Time here is not measured in numbers or marked by ticking sounds. It is felt through changes in the air, in the shifting of shadows, in the slow movement of the stars above. And above all of this, the sky remains vast and open. In ancient Egypt, the night sky holds great meaning. The stars are not just distant lights. They are part of a larger story, a quiet presence that watches over the land. Many believe that the journey of sleep is not so different from the journey of the stars. That each night, as the body rests, the spirit moves in its own gentle path, drifting through unseen spaces, guided by something ancient and steady. In this way, sleep becomes more than rest. It becomes a passage. A soft drifting between one day and the next. And so, the simple mat upon the ground is not just a place to lie down. It is part of this quiet journey. Close to the earth, close to the natural rhythm of life, it allows the body to settle fully, without separation. There are no tall frames lifting the sleeper far above the ground. No thick layers creating distance. Instead, there is closeness. A connection to the coolness of the floor, to the gentle movement of air, to the steady presence of the earth beneath. This closeness brings a certain kind of calm. A stillness that grows deeper with each passing moment. In another part of the village, not far from this home, another family rests in much the same way. Their house, also built of mud brick, holds the warmth of the day but releases it slowly into the night. Their mats are laid out in a slightly different arrangement, but the feeling is the same. A grandmother lies on her side, her breathing slow and steady. Near her, a young boy sleeps with his head resting on a folded piece of cloth. He has moved during the night, turning once, then settling again, his body finding comfort in its own quiet way. There is no strict stillness required. Sleep here is natural, fluid. The body moves when it needs to, then returns to rest. A soft breeze slips through a small opening in the wall. It moves across the room, touching each sleeping figure for just a moment before passing on. The air carries with it a faint scent of water and distant greenery, a reminder of the life that grows along the Nile. Even in sleep, the connection to the land remains. Far beyond the village, the open desert lies still and silent. The sand, once bright under the sun, now rests in cool darkness. The heat has withdrawn, leaving behind a calm emptiness that stretches far into the distance. The stars above the desert shine clearly, undisturbed by smoke or light. They appear closer here, almost within reach, their quiet glow reflecting faintly off the surface of the land. And in the heart of this vast stillness, the people of ancient Egypt sleep. Not far from the riverbanks, where the land gently rises and falls in soft, uneven shapes, more homes rest in the same quiet darkness. Each one holds a similar stillness. Each one carries the same slow rhythm of breath, of rest, of night gently unfolding without effort. The people within them sleep close to the ground, as they always have, their bodies aligned with the quiet steadiness of the earth beneath. The mats beneath them have cooled now. What was once slightly warm from the day has become calm and neutral, neither warm nor cold, simply present. The woven reeds hold their shape, firm yet forgiving, supporting the curves of the body without sinking or shifting too much. There is a quiet honesty in this kind of rest. Nothing is hidden. Nothing is softened too much. The body meets the surface as it is, and over time, it learns to relax into that simplicity. In ancient Egypt, this way of sleeping is not unusual. It is not questioned. It is simply part of life, just like the rising of the sun or the flowing of the Nile River. For those who have lived this way since childhood, there is comfort in the familiar feeling of the ground below. The firmness does not disturb them. Instead, it gives a sense of stability, as though the earth itself is holding them in place through the night. Some sleepers rest on their backs, arms at their sides. Others turn gently onto one side, curling slightly, adjusting without waking. The movements are small, quiet, almost unnoticeable. The body knows what it needs, even in sleep. The wooden headrests remain steady beneath their heads. Carved with care, sometimes simple and smooth, Sometimes decorated with small designs, they hold a quiet importance. They are not just tools for comfort, but objects of daily life, touched and used again and again. Over time, they take on a certain familiarity, almost like a silent companion that returns each night. In the deeper hours of the night, the silence grows fuller. It is not an empty silence, but one filled with soft, nearly hidden sounds. The faint brushing of wind against the outer walls. The quiet shifting of someone turning in sleep. The distant murmur of water moving along its endless path. Even the smallest sound feels gentle, never sharp, never sudden. The oil lamps inside the homes have now burned low. In some rooms, they have gone out completely, leaving only the soft darkness. In others, a faint glow remains, just enough to outline the shapes of the room, the edge of a mat, the curve of a wall, the still form of a sleeping figure. Shadows rest quietly, no longer moving. The night has reached its deepest point. This is the time when sleep is most complete, when the body is fully at rest, and the mind drifts furthest from the waking world. In these hours, dreams may come and go, though they leave little trace by morning. They move softly, like clouds passing across a wide sky, never staying too long, never pressing too strongly. And through it all, the connection to the land remains unbroken. The ground beneath the mats holds the coolness of the night. The walls hold the memory of the day's warmth. The air moves slowly, carrying faint scents that are both familiar and comforting. There is no separation between the sleeper and the world around them. Everything exists together, in quiet balance. In another home, closer to the edge of the fields, a man lies awake for a moment. His eyes open slowly, adjusting to the dim darkness. He does not sit up. He does not rush. He simply listens. The stillness around him is deep and steady. He hears the soft breathing of those nearby. He feels the firm surface beneath him. He notices the coolness of the air against his skin. After a short while, his eyes close again. Sleep returns just as gently as it left. There is no struggle, no effort. Only a quiet drifting back into rest. Outside, the stars have begun their slow movement across the sky. Though it is not noticed by those who sleep, the night is slowly changing. Time continues its steady path, even in stillness. The horizon remains dark, but somewhere far beyond it, the first faint signs of morning are beginning to form, too subtle to see, too distant to feel. But for now, the night still holds its place. And in homes across ancient Egypt, the people continue to sleep as they always have, on woven mats, close to the earth, surrounded by the quiet presence of the land that supports them. Their rest is simple. Their rest is steady. And the night carries them gently, without interruption, without noise, into the slow and peaceful passing of time. The stillness remains, deep and unbroken, as the night slowly begins its quiet turning toward morning in ancient Egypt. There is no sudden change. No sharp line between night and day. Instead, the darkness softens little by little, almost too gently to notice. The air shifts first. It grows slightly cooler, then steadier, as if the land itself is preparing for what will come. Inside the homes, the sleepers remain undisturbed. Their bodies have settled into the deepest part of rest. The woven mats beneath them feel almost invisible now, no longer noticed, no longer felt. What was once firm has become familiar. What was once simple has become comforting. A quiet balance has formed between body and ground. The wooden headrests hold their place, unchanged, supporting each sleeper in the same steady way they have done for countless nights before. Their smooth surfaces carry the memory of use, worn gently by time and touch. In one corner of a room, a small clay jar rests beside a wall, holding water drawn earlier from the Nile River. The water inside is still and cool, untouched through the night. It reflects nothing now, hidden in the dimness, waiting for morning hands. The walls, built of mud and straw, seem to breathe slowly. They release the last of the day's warmth and accept the coolness of the night. This exchange happens quietly, without effort, creating a space that feels calm and steady. Outside, the land stretches wide and silent. The fields that once held movement and work now rest under a soft layer of darkness. The plants stand still, their leaves unmoving in the gentle air. Paths that were walked many times during the day now lie empty, undisturbed. Farther out, the desert remains vast and quiet, its surface cool beneath the fading night sky. Above, the stars begin to dim ever so slightly. Not all at once, but one by one, their brightness softens. The sky itself changes, shifting from deep darkness to something just a shade lighter, though still calm and quiet. This is the hour just before waking. A time when sleep is still strong, yet the world has already begun its slow return. Inside the homes, there are small signs of this change. A sleeper shifts slightly, turning from one side to another. A hand moves across the mat, then becomes still again. Breathing changes just a little, becoming lighter, less deep. But no one fully wakes. The night still holds them gently. In ancient Egypt, this moment is part of a natural rhythm that repeats again and again, day after day, year after year. There are no alarms, no sudden calls to rise. The body follows the quiet signals of the world around it. The fading of stars. The cooling of air. The soft arrival of the first light. These are the only guides. And so, the people continue to rest, their sleep slowly becoming lighter, like the sky above them. A faint breeze moves through a small opening in the wall, carrying with it the earliest hint of morning. It brushes across the mats, touches the faces of the sleepers, then passes on, gentle and unnoticed. The oil lamps are now completely dark. Their faint scent lingers in the air, mixed with the natural smells of earth and reed and clay. It is a quiet, familiar scent, one that belongs to the space, one that has been part of it for a very long time. In another home, a woman's eyes open slightly. She does not rise at once. She remains still, listening. The world around her is quiet, but not as deep as before. There is a subtle difference, something that signals the night is ending. She feels it more than she hears it. Her hand rests on the woven mat, fingers lightly touching its surface. The texture is familiar, each strand known through years of use. There is comfort in that familiarity, in knowing exactly where she is, exactly how the ground feels beneath her. She closes her eyes again, just for a moment longer. Sleep lingers. Outside, the sky continues its slow transformation. A faint, pale glow begins to gather far along the horizon. It is not yet light, but it is no longer complete darkness. The stars fade further, retreating quietly as the new day approaches. The Nile River flows on, unchanged, carrying the reflection of this shifting sky upon its surface. And within the homes of ancient Egypt, the sleepers rest in the final moments of night, still close to the earth, still held by the simple comfort of their mats. Their rest has been steady. Their rest has been enough. And as the first light slowly prepares to arrive, the quiet rhythm of life begins to stir once more, gently, patiently, without hurry. The first light of morning arrives very slowly over the land of ancient Egypt. It does not rush across the sky. It does not suddenly brighten the world. Instead, it appears as a soft, pale glow far in the distance, gently touching the edge of the horizon. The darkness begins to loosen its hold, not all at once, but in a calm and steady way. Inside the quiet homes, the change is almost invisible. The woven mats still hold the resting bodies. The air remains cool and still. But something has shifted. The night is no longer deep. It has become lighter, thinner, like a soft curtain slowly being lifted. The woman who had opened her eyes earlier now wakes more fully. She does not sit up right away. She remains lying on the mat, her breathing calm, her body still relaxed. Her hand moves slightly across the woven surface, feeling the texture of the reeds beneath her fingers. It is a familiar feeling, one that greets her every morning. There is no softness like thick bedding. No raised frame beneath her. Only the earth, the mat, and the quiet support they give together. Slowly, she turns her head. The wooden headrest beside her has shifted slightly during the night. She adjusts it gently, placing it aside. It has done its work, holding her head through the long hours of darkness. Nearby, others are beginning to wake as well. A child stirs, turning slowly onto their back, eyes still closed. A soft breath leaves their lips as they move between sleep and waking. The transition is gentle, unforced. There is no sudden start to the day here. Morning arrives the same way sleep does, quietly, naturally, without demand. Outside, the Nile River reflects the first hints of light. Its surface, once dark and hidden, now carries a faint shimmer, like a soft mirror beginning to awaken. The reeds along its banks catch the breeze again. Their movement is slow, their sound soft, like a whisper returning after a long pause. The woman finally sits up. Her movements are unhurried. She places her feet on the ground, feeling the cool, firm surface beneath her. There is a quiet steadiness in that feeling, a sense of connection that has been there through the entire night. She reaches for the mat and gently rolls one corner, then pauses. There is no need to rush. The others are still waking. In homes across ancient Egypt, the same slow beginning unfolds. Mats are still laid out. Bodies are stretching gently. Eyes are opening one by one. The night has ended, but its calm remains. And the simple way of sleeping close to the ground, supported by woven reeds and steady earth, fades softly into the beginning of a new day. As the light grows a little stronger, the shapes inside the room become clearer. The walls, once only shadows, now show their soft, uneven texture. The floor, smooth and packed, holds the faint marks of daily life, footsteps, movement, quiet use over many days and nights. The mats are slowly gathered. Each one is lifted with care, rolled or folded, and placed against the wall. They are not left scattered. They are part of the rhythm of the home, used at night, then set aside during the day. This simple act repeats every morning. It is quiet. It is steady. It requires no thought. The child now sits up, rubbing their eyes slowly. Their hair is slightly tousled from sleep. They look around the room, still wrapped in the softness of waking. There is no large bed to climb down from. No distance between sleep and the ground. Only a small movement from lying to sitting, from rest to waking. The transition feels gentle. The man rises next. He stretches his arms slightly, then stands. His feet press against the cool earth, grounding him. He takes a slow breath, filling his lungs with the morning air that has begun to enter the home. There is a faint freshness now. A hint of the river. A trace of damp earth far away. These small details mark the beginning of the day. The wooden headrests are placed aside, sometimes near the mats, sometimes along a small shelf or ledge. They will return again at night, unchanged, waiting patiently. Nothing here is wasted. Nothing is unnecessary. Each object has its place. Each movement has its time. Outside, the sky continues to brighten. The pale glow deepens into soft light, spreading across the land, touching the fields, the paths, the quiet water of the Nile River. Birds begin to move. Their sounds are light and gentle, not loud, not sudden. They add to the growing sense that the world is waking, slowly and peacefully. And within the homes of ancient Egypt, the people complete their quiet rising. The place where they slept is now clear again. The mats are gone from the floor. The room returns to its daytime form. But the calm of the night remains, carried within them, steady and soft, as they begin once more the simple rhythm of living. The morning continues to unfold slowly across the land of ancient Egypt. The light grows softer and wider, spreading gently over the walls of each home, touching the ground where the mats had rested just moments before. The space that once held sleep now becomes part of the waking day again. Inside the home, the air feels fresh, touched by the early breeze drifting in from the direction of the Nile River. It carries a quiet coolness that will not last long, but for now, it settles gently across the skin, calm and pleasant. The family begins their day without haste. The woman moves toward a small clay jar and lifts it carefully. The water inside is still cool from the night. She pours a small amount into her hands, letting it flow over her fingers. The sensation is simple, refreshing, steady. Drops fall softly onto the ground, disappearing into the packed earth. Nearby, the child watches, still waking fully, their eyes adjusting to the light. There is no loud beginning here. No sudden noise to break the calm. Only small movements. Quiet sounds. The slow return of activity. The place where they slept, the firm ground, the woven mats, the wooden headrests already feels like part of the past, even though it was only moments ago. Night and day are separate, yet connected, each flowing into the other without interruption. Outside, the village begins to stir. Doors open softly. Feet step onto the earth. People move with quiet purpose, beginning the tasks that will carry them through the day. The rhythm is steady, familiar, repeated over many seasons. But the memory of sleep remains in their bodies. A softness in their movements. A calm in their breathing. This is the result of resting close to the earth, without layers or distance, without interruption. The body wakes as naturally as it slept. In ancient Egypt, this simple way of sleeping shapes the beginning of every day. There is no separation between rest and waking life. One flows gently into the other. And as the light continues to grow, the traces of night fade quietly, leaving behind only the steady rhythm of a new day beginning. As the sun rises a little higher, warmth begins to return to the land. The coolness of early morning slowly lifts, replaced by a gentle heat that touches the ground, the walls, and the air itself. Shadows shorten. Light becomes clearer. Inside the home, the mats now rest against the wall, rolled and waiting. They are simple objects, yet they carry an important role. Each night, they return to the ground. Each morning, they are lifted away. This quiet cycle continues day after day, without change. The wooden headrests sit nearby, still and silent. Some are smooth and plain, shaped only for use. Others carry small carvings, patterns that have meaning to those who made them. They are not soft, but they are trusted. Over time, they become part of the body's memory of rest. The child walks across the room, barefoot, feeling the ground beneath their feet. The same ground that held them through the night now supports them in waking. There is no difference in the surface, only in the state of the body. From sleep to movement. From stillness to action. Outside, more people gather along narrow paths, moving toward the river or the fields. The sound of soft footsteps grows, but never becomes overwhelming. It blends into the natural quiet of the morning. The Nile River now shines under the early sun, its surface brighter, its movement more visible. It reflects the sky above, carrying light across its flowing water. This river shapes every part of life here. It provides water. It feeds the land. And it quietly influences the rhythm of sleep as well. The cooling air at night, the gentle breeze, the natural cycle of light and darkness, all of it is connected to the presence of the river. And so, the way people sleep on simple mats, close to the ground, in homes open to the air is shaped by this environment. There is no need for high beds. No need for thick coverings. The land itself provides what is needed. As the sun continues to rise, the last traces of night disappear completely. But the calm remains. It lingers in the slow movements, in the quiet voices, in the steady pace of life. And when evening comes again, the mats will return to the ground. The bodies will rest once more. And the same gentle rhythm will begin again, just as it always has in the peaceful land of ancient Egypt. The day moves forward slowly, like the quiet flow of the Nile River itself. The sun rises higher, and with it comes a steady warmth that spreads across the land of ancient Egypt. The cool softness of early morning fades, replaced by a dry, gentle heat that settles onto the ground and walls. Inside the home, the space that once held sleep is now filled with small, simple movements. The floor, which supported the woven mats through the night, now carries footsteps again. It feels firm and familiar under bare feet. There is no change in its surface, only in its purpose. The woman begins her daily work, moving quietly, her actions steady and practiced. The child sits nearby, watching, sometimes helping in small ways. The man steps outside, pausing for a moment as he looks across the waking village. There is no sign of the night now, except in memory. And yet, the way they slept continues to shape how they move. Their bodies are not heavy or slow. They have rested deeply, close to the earth, without interruption. There is a quiet strength in that kind of rest, a natural ease that carries into the day. The mats remain rolled along the wall. They are not large or heavy. Each one can be carried easily, moved without effort. Their simplicity allows them to be used again and again, without change, without complication. From time to time, they are taken outside, shaken gently, allowing dust to fall away into the open air. The reeds remain strong, their woven pattern holding together through many nights of use. These mats are part of daily life, just as much as food or water. They are not separate objects meant only for comfort. They belong to the rhythm of living. Outside, the village is now fully awake. People move along the narrow paths, carrying tools, baskets, or jars. Voices rise slightly, but remain calm, never hurried. The sounds blend into a soft background, steady and continuous. The sun climbs higher still. Light fills every space. And though the day has begun, the quiet influence of the night remains, carried gently within each person. As the hours pass, the warmth of the day becomes stronger. The walls of the homes begin to hold the heat again, just as they did the day before. The ground warms underfoot. The air grows still, with only an occasional breeze moving through. In the distance, near the banks of the Nile River, the sound of water continues, unchanged, steady and calm. It does not hurry. It does not stop. It simply flows, just as it did through the night, just as it will into the next. This constant presence shapes everything. It shapes the work of the day. It shapes the quiet of the night. And it shapes the simple way people rest. In ancient Egypt, sleep is not built upon layers of softness or distance from the ground. It is built upon balance between body and earth, between warmth and coolness, between stillness and movement. The mats, though simple, provide enough comfort for the body to relax. The headrests, though firm, support the head in a steady position. The open spaces of the home allow air to move, keeping the night from becoming too warm. Everything works together, quietly. Nothing is excessive. Nothing is missing. As the sun reaches its highest point, the village slows slightly. Some people rest in the shade, sitting against walls, feeling the cooler air that lingers there. The same walls that held the warmth at night now offer a small relief during the heat of the day. A man sits quietly, his back against the wall, his eyes half closed. He is not fully asleep, but he is resting. This kind of rest is different from night sleep, yet it carries a similar calm. The body knows how to be still, how to pause, how to recover even in small moments. The rhythm of rest and movement continues throughout the day. And when the sun begins to lower again, when the heat slowly fades, the memory of night will return. The mats will be unrolled once more. The ground will welcome the body again. And the simple, steady pattern of sleep in ancient Egypt will quietly begin again, just as it has for countless nights before. As the long day begins to soften, the light over ancient Egypt slowly changes once again. The sun, which had stood high and steady, now begins its gentle descent. The heat that once pressed against the walls and ground starts to loosen, little by little. The air shifts. It becomes softer, easier to breathe, carrying with it a quiet sense of relief. Shadows grow longer. They stretch slowly across touching the sides of homes, moving along narrow paths, reaching toward the calm waters of the Nile River. The village begins to slow. Movements become less hurried. Voices soften again. The steady rhythm of the day prepares to settle into the quiet rhythm of evening. Inside the home, the woman pauses in her work. She looks toward the place where the mats have been resting all day, rolled neatly against the wall. There is no rush to bring them out. There is still time before night fully arrives. But the thought of rest has already begun to return, quietly, naturally. The child, now tired from the day, sits close by, their movements slower than before. Their eyes wander, their body leaning slightly, already feeling the early pull of sleep that will come later. The man returns from outside, his steps calm, his posture relaxed. The work of the day has ended. There is no need to hurry anymore. Evening comes gently here. There is no sharp ending to the day. Only a slow fading. Outside, the sky begins to change color. Soft tones spread across it, warm and quiet, reflecting faintly on the surface of the river. The Nile River moves just as it always has, but now it carries the colors of the setting sun, turning its surface into a calm, shifting mirror. The breeze returns. It moves lightly through the openings of the home, touching the walls, the floor, the skin. It carries away the last of the day's heat, making the space ready for rest once more. This moment between day and night is slow and peaceful. It is not filled with noise or urgency. It is filled with quiet transition. and in this transition, the memory of sleep begins to take shape again. As darkness gently returns, the home begins to change back into a place of rest. The mats are brought out once more. One by one, they are unrolled and laid carefully upon the ground. The same motions repeat, just as they did the night before. Hands smooth the surface. Edges are adjusted. Each mat finds its place without effort. The floor, which carried the steps of the day, now becomes a place of stillness again. The transformation is simple, but complete. The wooden headrests are placed beside the mats, ready to be used again. Their curved shapes catch the dim light of a small oil lamp that has just been lit. The flame flickers softly, casting slow-moving shadows along the walls. The air inside the home feels different now. Cooler. Quieter. More still. The child lies down first, their body already heavy with sleep. They settle onto the mat, turning slightly, finding a position that feels natural. Their breathing begins to slow almost immediately. The woman lies down next, her movements calm and familiar. She places her head gently onto the headrest, adjusting it slightly until it feels right. The man follows, lowering himself onto the mat, feeling once again the firm, steady support of the ground beneath him. There is no softness like a raised bed. No layers between body and earth. Only the simple closeness that has always been there. And in that closeness, there is comfort. The oil lamp continues to glow softly, its light steady but gentle. It does not fill the room completely. It only touches small areas, leaving the rest in quiet shadow. Outside, the sky darkens further. The stars begin to return, one by one, just as they did before. The sounds of the village fade again. Footsteps disappear. Voices quiet. Only the soft movement of the night remains. And once more, in the peaceful land of ancient Egypt, the people settle into sleep on woven mats, close to the ground, surrounded by the calm presence of the earth, the air, and the quiet flow of the Nile River. The rhythm continues. Unchanged. Steady. And deeply, gently calm. The night settles once again over the quiet land of ancient Egypt, calm and steady, like a slow breath that never ends. Inside the home, the small oil lamp flickers gently, its flame moving in soft patterns along the wall. The light is warm, but faint. It does not disturb the darkness. It only lives within it, quietly. The woven mats lie flat against the ground, holding the resting bodies just as they did the night before. There is no change in their shape, no change in their purpose. They remain simple, steady, and familiar. The child is already asleep. Their breathing is slow and even, their small body completely relaxed. One hand rests loosely on the mat, fingers slightly curled, unmoving. Their head turns gently to one side, resting without effort. Nearby, the woman lies still, her face calm, her body at ease. The wooden headrest supports her neck in its quiet, firm way. There is no need for adjustment now. The position is known, comfortable through repetition. The man shifts slightly, then becomes still again. These small movements are part of the night. They do not break the silence. They belong to it. Outside, the Nile River continues its endless flow. Though unseen in the darkness, its presence remains strong. The faint sound of water moving gently over itself carries through the still air, blending into the quiet rhythm of the night. A soft breeze returns, passing slowly through the openings of the home. It touches the walls, the mats, the resting bodies. It carries a faint coolness that settles gently, making the space more comfortable with each passing moment. The air feels balanced. Not too warm. Not too cool. Just enough. This natural balance is part of what makes sleep here so steady. There are no barriers between the sleeper and the world around him. No heavy layers to block the air. No high structures to separate the body from the ground. Everything remains open. Connected. Simple. And so, sleep comes easily. In other homes nearby, the same quiet scene unfolds. Families resting on mats. Heads supported by carved rests or folded cloth. Bodies close to the earth. The entire village breathes together in this slow, shared rhythm. And above it all, the stars shine softly across the sky, watching over the land in silent stillness. As the night deepens, the stillness grows even more complete. The oil lamp burns lower now. Its flame becomes smaller, softer, as the oil within it slowly fades. Shadows no longer move as much. They settle, becoming part of the darkness itself. Inside the home, the sleepers are now in their deepest rest. Breathing is slow. Bodies are still. The woven mats beneath them feel almost like part of the ground itself, no longer separate, no longer noticed. This is the quiet center of the night. A time when everything slows to its gentlest pace. In ancient Egypt, this deep rest is shaped by the simplicity of the sleeping space. Without soft layers or raised frames, the body finds its own natural alignment. The firmness of the ground supports it evenly, allowing muscles to relax without strain. The wooden head rests, though simple, help keep the head lifted just enough to allow the air to move freely. They also protect the head from the warmth of the ground, keeping it cooler through the night. These small details matter. They create a quiet comfort that does not rely on softness, but on balance. Outside, the night air moves slowly across the land. The fields rest in darkness. The paths remain empty. The desert beyond lies silent and still, stretching far into the distance under the wide sky. From time to time, a faint sound appears, a distant movement, a soft call from a night bird, but it fades quickly, leaving the silence undisturbed. The world feels calm, unchanging, peaceful. And within this stillness, the people continue to sleep, held gently by the simple elements around them: the earth, the air, the quiet flow of the Nile River. Time passes without notice. The night continues. And the rhythm of rest remains steady, deep, and uninterrupted. The deep night continues, soft and unbroken, across the wide land of ancient Egypt. There is a kind of stillness now that feels complete. Not empty, but full in a quiet way. The kind of stillness that holds everything gently in place. Inside the home, the air has cooled a little more. It rests softly on the skin, neither sharp nor cold, just calm. The woven mats beneath the sleepers have adjusted to the temperature of the night, holding a quiet coolness that supports the body without discomfort. The oil lamp has nearly gone out. Its small flame flickers once, then again, growing smaller each time, until finally, it fades into darkness. A thin thread of smoke rises for a moment, then disappears into the still air. Now the room is fully dark. But the darkness here is not heavy. It is soft, like a covering that rests lightly over everything. The shapes of the room are no longer clear, yet they are known. The walls, the mats, the resting bodies all remain in their places, familiar even without sight. The sleepers continue their quiet rest. A gentle breath in. A gentle breath out. This steady rhythm fills the space, replacing the need for any sound. Outside, the Nile River flows beneath the dark sky, reflecting faint traces of starlight. its movement remains unchanged, constant, patient. The reeds along its edge sway lightly as the breeze moves through them, brushing together in a soft, almost hidden sound. This is the hour when the world feels the most distant. The day is far behind. Morning is not yet near. Only the present moment remains quiet, steady, and calm. In this moment, sleep is at its deepest. The body has fully let go of the day's effort. The mind drifts without direction. Everything is still. As time continues its slow and silent passage, the night begins, very gently, to shift. It is not a change that can be seen right away. It is felt more than noticed. The air moves slightly differently. The stillness becomes lighter, almost as if it is preparing to soften. Inside the home, one of the sleepers turns quietly. The movement is small, almost weightless. The mat beneath them holds steady, adjusting without sound. After a brief moment, the body becomes still again. The wooden headrests remain in place, supporting without change, their smooth surfaces cool in the night air. These simple objects, used every night, have become part of the rhythm of rest. They do not draw attention. They do not change. They simply remain, steady and reliable. In ancient Egypt, there is comfort in this kind of consistency. Nothing unexpected. Nothing sudden. Only the same quiet patterns, repeating night after night. Outside, the stars begin a slow movement across the sky. They shift so gently that it cannot be seen in a single moment. But over time, their positions change, marking the passing hours in silence. The horizon remains dark, but somewhere far beyond it, the first hint of change is beginning to form. Not light. Not yet. Just the smallest easing of darkness. The breeze continues to move through the land, touching the walls of homes, passing over the resting figures inside, then moving on again without sound. The entire village remains asleep. Each home holds its own quiet scene. Each mat supports its own resting body. And yet, together, they form a shared stillness. A calm that stretches across the land. A quiet unity shaped by the simple act of sleep close to the ground, close to the earth, within the steady rhythm of the natural world. And as the night slowly moves forward, this calm continues, unbroken, carrying everything gently toward the coming dawn. The night moves forward in its quiet, unhurried way across the land of ancient Egypt. There is a softness now in the darkness, a gentle thinning that cannot be seen, only felt. The deep stillness begins to loosen just slightly, like a long breath slowly coming to its end. Inside the home, the air feels different again. Not warmer, not colder, just changed in a subtle way. The kind of change that comes before something new, something calm and expected. The sleepers remain at rest. Their bodies still lie close to the ground, supported by the woven mats that have held them through the long hours of night. The texture of the reeds presses lightly against the skin, familiar and steady. One of them breathes in deeply, then out again, slowly. The rhythm continues. Unbroken. The wooden headrests, smooth and quiet, remain beneath their heads or beside them. They do not move. They do not shift. They simply exist as they have for many nights before, part of the quiet routine of rest. Outside, the Nile River continues to flow, its presence constant. The water moves in darkness, carrying with it reflections of fading stars, bending gently along its path. Along the banks, the reeds whisper softly as the breeze moves through them. The sound is faint, almost hidden within the larger silence. The sky above begins its slow transformation. The stars, once bright and steady, now soften slightly. Their light becomes less sharp, as though they are slowly stepping back, making room for the coming day. But the night is still here. Still calm. Still deep. Still holding the sleepers gently within it. As the quiet shift continues, the first true hint of morning begins to form. It is not light yet, not fully. But far along the horizon, there is a faint change, a pale softness that separates the sky from the earth. It is gentle, almost like a memory of light rather than light itself. Inside the home, one sleeper stirs. A small movement. A slight turn of the head. The wooden headrest makes the faintest contact sound against the ground, then becomes still again. The body settles. Sleep continues. This is the space between deep night and early morning, where rest begins to grow lighter, though it has not yet ended. The air carries a new feeling now. A quiet freshness. It moves through the small openings of the home, brushing lightly across the mats, touching each resting figure without waking them. In ancient Egypt, these moments are part of a natural rhythm that has always existed. There are no signals. No sounds to announce the coming day. Only the slow, steady change of the world itself. Outside, the land remains still. The fields are quiet. The paths are empty. The desert stretches beyond in soft darkness, waiting for the sun that will return again. The Nile River reflects the faint shift in the sky, its surface holding a slightly lighter tone than before. And within the homes, the people continue to sleep, their rest now gently easing, slowly preparing to release them back into the waking world. The mats beneath them remain steady. The ground remains calm. The air continues its soft movement. Everything works together, quietly, guiding the night toward morning without hurry, without sound, without disturbance. The horizon slowly becomes clearer, as the night begins to gently step aside in ancient Egypt. The faint pale glow that once seemed distant now spreads a little wider, touching more of the sky. It is still soft, still quiet, but it is growing, almost like a slow breath filling the space above the. Inside the home, the change begins to reach the sleepers. It is not something they hear. It is something they feel. The air carries a slightly different weight. The stillness shifts. The deep hold of sleep begins to loosen, just enough for the body to notice. One of the sleepers inhales a little more deeply than before, then exhales slowly. Another turns slightly, the woven mat beneath them holding steady, making no sound. The wooden headrests remain in place, cool to the touch, unchanged from the night. Their presence is quiet, dependable, a small part of a much larger rhythm. Outside, the Nile River reflects the growing light in the sky. Its surface, once dark and hidden, now carries a faint brightness, like a soft shimmer moving along its path. The reeds along the water's edge begin to show their shape again, no longer just shadows, but real forms, gently moving in the early air. A bird stirs somewhere nearby. Not loudly. Just a small movement, a quiet sound, as if testing the return of morning. The village remains mostly still. But the deep silence of night is slowly changing into the softer quiet of early day. Inside the home, a woman's eyes open gently. She does not move at once. She remains lying on the mat, her head resting lightly, her body still wrapped in the final moments of sleep. Her gaze is soft, unfocused, adjusting slowly to the dim light that now touches the room. There is no rush. There is no need to rise quickly. Morning comes gently here. And so, waking does too. The light continues to grow, quietly filling the space within the home. The walls, once lost in darkness, begin to show their texture again, the soft, uneven surface of mud and straw, shaped by hand, worn gently over time. The floor becomes visible once more. Smooth. Firm. Familiar. The same ground that held the woven mats through the night now greets the waking feet once again. The woman slowly lifts her head from the rest, setting it aside with a small, careful movement. The wooden surface meets the ground with a faint, soft sound, then becomes still. Nearby, the child begins to wake. Their eyes open halfway, then close again for a moment, as if holding on to sleep just a little longer. Their body shifts gently, adjusting to the growing light. The man takes a slow breath and opens his eyes. He looks upward for a moment, not at anything in particular, simply noticing the return of the day. This waking is calm. Unforced. There are no sudden movements. Only a gradual return. In ancient Egypt, the body follows the rhythm of light and air, not the demand of time. The transition from sleep to waking is as soft as the transition from night to morning. Outside, the sky has brightened further. The stars have nearly disappeared. The pale glow has become a soft light that spreads gently across the land, touching the surface of the Nile River, the tops of the reeds, and the quiet paths of the village. A few more birds begin to move, their presence light and calm. The world is waking. And inside the home, the mats still hold the warmth of the resting bodies, though soon they will be rolled away again, returning the space to its daytime form. The rhythm continues. Night has passed. Morning has come. And the simple, steady cycle of sleep close to the earth, supported by woven reeds and quiet air, has completed itself once more. The morning settles gently over the land of ancient Egypt, calm and steady, like a quiet beginning that asks for nothing. Inside the home, the light has now fully entered, soft but clear. It spreads across the floor where the mats are still laid, touching their woven surface, revealing each small pattern of the reeds. The woman slowly rises. She does not stand quickly. First, she sits. Her hands rest lightly on the mat, feeling its texture one more time before the day begins. There is a quiet pause in this moment, as if she is gently leaving behind the stillness of sleep. Nearby, the child finally opens their eyes fully. They blink slowly, adjusting to the light, then sit up, their movements soft and unhurried. One hand brushes across the mat, tracing its surface without thought. The man sits as well, his posture calm, his breathing steady. For a brief moment, they are all awake, yet still. Not yet moving into the work of the day. Just present. Just quiet. The place where they slept still holds a sense of calm. The air, though changing, still carries the softness of night. Outside, the Nile River now shines more clearly, reflecting the growing brightness of the sky. Its steady movement continues, unchanged, as it always has. The village begins to wake more fully. Soft footsteps appear along the paths. Doors open. Voices rise slightly, but remain gentle. Life returns, slowly and naturally. Inside the home, the woman reaches for the edge of the mat. With a simple movement, she begins to roll it. The action is quiet, practiced, repeated every morning. The mat folds into itself, its shape becoming smaller, easier to carry, easier to store. The others begin to do the same. Each mat is lifted, rolled, and placed carefully against the wall. The floor opens up again. The space changes. What was once a place of rest becomes a place of movement once more. And yet, the calm remains. As the mats are set aside, the room takes on its daytime form again. The ground is now clear, open, ready for the small tasks of the day. The wooden headrests are placed nearby, resting quietly, waiting for night to return again. The child stands, their feet touching the cool earth, feeling its firmness beneath them. There is no separation between the body and the ground. Only direct contact, simple and steady. The man steps toward the doorway, pausing as he looks outside. The light is soft but growing stronger. The air carries a faint warmth that will increase as the day continues. The woman moves toward a clay jar, lifting it gently. The water inside reflects the light now, no longer hidden in darkness. She pours a small amount into her hands, letting it run over her fingers. The sensation is fresh. Awakening. Quiet. In ancient Egypt, these small morning actions follow naturally after sleep. There is no sharp break between rest and waking life. One flows into the other, just as the night flows into day. Outside, more people gather along the paths. Some move toward the river. Some begin their work. Some pause, standing quietly, taking in the morning air. The Nile River continues its endless journey, now fully visible under the rising sun. Its surface moves with a calm brightness, reflecting the sky above. The reeds sway lightly once more. Birds move across the air, their presence soft, their sounds gentle. The world has fully awakened. And yet, the quiet rhythm of sleep still lingers in every movement, in the slow steps, in the calm breathing, in the steady pace of life. Because the way they rest, simple, close to the earth, without excess, carries into everything they do. And as the day begins again, the memory of the night remains, soft and steady, waiting to return once more when evening comes. The morning continues to open slowly across the land of ancient Egypt. The sun rises a little higher, and its light becomes warmer, touching the ground with a gentle strength. The coolness of early morning begins to fade, though it does not disappear all at once. It lingers softly in shaded corners, along the walls, and inside the homes where the air still feels calm. Inside the room, the mats are now fully set aside. They rest quietly against the wall, their woven patterns no longer pressed beneath the body, but still carrying the memory of the night. Each one holds the shape of use, the quiet marks of rest that will return again when evening comes. The wooden headrests sit nearby. Still. Simple. Unchanged. They are not objects of attention, yet they are always present. Each night they return, each morning they rest. Their role is steady, never shifting, part of a rhythm that does not need to be spoken. The child moves slowly across the floor, their steps light, their movements calm. The firmness of the ground beneath their feet feels natural, just as it did during the night beneath the mat. There is no difference between the ground of day and the ground of night. Only the way it is used. The man steps outside now, into the growing light. He pauses for a moment, allowing the warmth to touch his face. His eyes move across the village, noticing the quiet activity that has begun. Nearby, others walk along the narrow paths. Some carry baskets. Some carry water. Their movements are steady, unhurried. The rhythm of the day has begun, but it does not rush forward. It moves with the same calm pace that shaped the night. Outside, the Nile River reflects the brightening sky. Its water glows softly, moving in a way that feels both constant and peaceful. This river, always present, continues to guide the rhythm of life here. It shapes the work. It shapes the rest. It shapes the quiet balance between the two. As the sun climbs higher, the warmth of the day slowly settles in. The air becomes stiller. The light becomes stronger. Shadows shorten and gather closer to the walls. Inside the home, the space is now fully awake. There is movement, but it remains gentle. There is sound, but it is soft. Nothing breaks the calm that has carried over from the night. The woman moves through her morning tasks, her actions steady and familiar. Each movement follows the next without pause, without hurry. The child sits nearby, watching, sometimes helping in small ways, their energy still quiet from sleep. The ground beneath them remains the same. Firm. Supportive. Unchanging. It is the same surface that held their rest just hours before. This connection to the ground is constant in ancient Egypt. It does not change between night and day. It is always there, steady and present, shaping both rest and movement. Outside, the village continues to fill with quiet life. Footsteps pass along the paths. Soft voices rise and fall. A breeze moves lightly through the space, carrying the faint scent of water from the Nile River. The reeds along its banks sway gently, their movement calm and steady. Everything feels connected. The river, the land, the homes, the people. And within this connection, the simple way of sleeping on woven mats, close to the earth remains a natural part of life. It does not stand apart. It does not require change. It simply exists within the rhythm of each day. And as the morning continues to grow into midday, the memory of the night rests quietly in the background, waiting patiently for its return. The day stretches gently toward its middle across the warm land of ancient Egypt. The sun now stands higher in the sky, its light steady and strong, resting over the with quiet persistence. The shadows that once stretched long in the early morning have drawn closer, gathering beneath feet and along the edges of walls. The air feels warmer now. It moves less. It settles. Inside the home, the space holds this warmth, though the thick mud walls soften it slightly, keeping the inside calmer than the open ground outside. The mats remain against the wall, still and unused for now. They wait without purpose during the day, yet they are never forgotten. Their presence is quiet, like a promise of rest that will return when the sun begins to fall again. The wooden headrests sit beside them. Unchanged. Silent. Part of a cycle that repeats without thought. The woman pauses for a moment, stepping into a shaded corner of the room. She rests her hand lightly against the wall, feeling its cooler surface. The contrast between shade and sunlight is gentle, offering small comfort in the growing heat. The child sits nearby, quieter now, moving less, feeling the warmth of the day settle into their body. Outside, the village continues its steady rhythm. People move, but more slowly now. Some remain in shaded areas. Some sit near walls or beneath simple coverings. The sound of activity softens again, not from rest, but from the weight of the midday heat. In the distance, the Nile River continues its calm movement, reflecting the bright sky above. Its steady presence brings a sense of balance, even as the sun reaches its strongest point. This is the quiet center of the day. A time when movement slows. When the body seeks stillness. When even the land seems to pause, just for a while. As the midday heat deepens, a gentle stillness settles over everything. The air feels thicker now, though not heavy. Just warm. Steady. Unmoving. Inside the home, the family finds small ways to rest. Not sleep as in the night, but a softer kind of pause. The man sits against the wall, his back supported by the cool surface. His eyes close halfway, then fully, as his breathing slows. He does not lie down. He remains seated, resting quietly, allowing his body to ease. The woman sits nearby, her hands resting in her lap. Her shoulders soften, her posture relaxed. For a few moments, she does nothing. The child leans slightly, their head lowering, drifting into a light rest, not fully asleep, but close to it. This midday quiet is part of life here. A gentle break within the day. A moment when the body remembers the calm of night, even while the sun still shines above. The mats remain unused, yet their presence is felt. They are not needed now, but they are part of this rhythm, connected to these moments of rest, even when not in use. Outside, the village has grown quieter. Fewer footsteps move along the paths. Voices are softer, more distant. The Nile River flows as it always does, unchanged by the heat, its steady movement offering a quiet sense of continuity. A faint breeze passes through, rare but welcome. It touches the walls, moves across the ground, and slips gently through the openings of the home. The air shifts just enough to bring a small sense of relief. In ancient Egypt, rest is not limited to night alone. It appears in small moments. In quiet pauses. In the stillness between movement. And as the day begins, very slowly, to move past its center, the heat will soften once more, preparing the land for the return of evening, and eventually, the gentle arrival of sleep again. The day slowly begins to move beyond its warm center in the land of ancient Egypt. The sun, which had rested high and steady, now begins a gentle shift across the sky. It is not yet lowering in any obvious way, but its light feels slightly softer, less direct, as if it is slowly preparing to ease. The air changes again. The stillness of midday begins to loosen. A faint movement returns, a quiet stirring that passes through the open spaces and narrow paths of the village. Inside the home, the family begins to move once more. The man opens his eyes, taking a slow breath as he sits upright. The brief rest has passed. His body feels steady again, no longer held by the quiet pause of midday. The woman rises gently, her movements calm and practiced. She steps across the firm ground, her feet making almost no sound. The child lifts their head, blinking slowly, returning from that light, drifting rest between sleep and waking. This is not the deep rest of night. But it carries a small part of it. A reminder. The mats remain where they are, leaning quietly against the wall. They are still. Patient. Waiting for their time to return. Outside, more people begin to move again. Footsteps reappear along the paths. Soft voices rise, blending into a gentle hum of life returning after the quiet of midday. The Nile River reflects the light differently now. The brightness is still there, but it has softened just slightly, its surface less sharp, more calm. The reeds along its banks sway again as the breeze returns, their quiet movement adding a soft rhythm to the air. The world is shifting once more. From stillness to motion. From pause to continuation. As the afternoon slowly unfolds, the warmth of the day begins to ease. The air feels lighter now. Easier. More open. The heat that once settled heavily over the begins to lift, rising slowly, allowing the breeze to move more freely. Inside the home, the light changes its angle. It no longer falls directly from above, but enters from the side, casting longer, softer shapes across the floor and walls. The room feels different. Not cooler yet, but calmer. The woman continues her work, her movements steady and unhurried. The child moves nearby, now more awake, their energy gently returning. The man steps outside again, his eyes moving across the village, observing the quiet return of activity. This part of the day carries a peaceful feeling. Not the deep stillness of night. Not the soft quiet of morning. But something in between. Balanced. Steady. Outside, the village breathes again. People walk slowly, their pace unhurried. Some speak in low voices. Some move in silence. Everything remains gentle. The Nile River continues its calm flow, now reflecting the softening light of the afternoon sky. Its presence remains constant, guiding the rhythm of life without ever demanding attention. And as the sun continues its quiet path, the thought of evening begins to return. It is not yet near. But it is coming. And with it will come the slow return of night, the unrolling of mats, the quiet lowering of bodies to the ground, and the simple, steady rest that defines life in ancient Egypt. The cycle continues. Unbroken. Gentle. And always the same. The afternoon continues to soften over the quiet land of ancient Egypt. The sun lowers just a little more, and its light becomes warmer, less intense, spreading gently across the ground and walls. The air begins to move again, slowly at first, then with a bit more ease, carrying away the last weight of the midday heat. Shadows stretch longer once again. They slide across the paths, along the edges of homes, and toward the calm surface of the Nile River. Inside the home, the change can be felt. The space feels lighter. More open. The woman pauses and looks toward the doorway, noticing the soft shift in light. The child moves closer to the entrance, watching the outside world quietly, their eyes following the gentle motion of people passing by. The man stands near the doorway, resting for a moment, his body calm, his breathing steady. There is a quiet sense of nearing rest again. Not sleep yet, but the beginning of its return. The mats remain against the wall, still untouched, but their presence feels closer now, more noticeable, as if they are slowly being called back into use. Outside, the village carries a peaceful rhythm. People continue their tasks, but with less urgency. Movements slow. Voices soften. The day begins to release its hold. The Nile River reflects the changing sky, its surface now touched with warmer tones. The water moves steadily, never changing its pace, always calm, always present. A breeze passes through again. Gentle. Cooling. It slips into the home, moving across the floor, brushing lightly against the walls, touching the skin with a soft, refreshing feel. The land begins to prepare for evening. As the sun lowers further, the approach of evening becomes clear. The light softens into warm tones, spreading across the sky and in quiet colors that shift slowly with time. The air cools little by little, carrying a sense of calm that grows deeper with each passing moment. Inside the home, the family begins to slow their movements. Work comes to an end. Hands become still. Steps grow lighter. There is no clear moment when the day stops, it simply fades. The woman turns toward the mats. She walks slowly to where they rest and gently lifts one, unrolling it across the ground. The motion is familiar, smooth, and quiet. The woven reeds unfold easily, returning to their flat shape, ready once again to hold the body through the night. The child watches, then helps with a smaller mat, their movements careful but unhurried. The man prepares his place as well, laying the mat down in a spot that feels right, one that has likely been used many times before. The wooden headrests are brought forward, placed beside each mat. Waiting. The room begins to change again. The open space of the day becomes the resting space of the night. The transformation is simple, but complete. Outside, the sky deepens in color. The sun nears the horizon. The Nile River glows softly under the fading light, reflecting the sky like a quiet mirror. The village begins to quiet. Footsteps lessen. Voices lower. The sounds of the day gently fade away. And in ancient Egypt, the calm return of night begins once more, bringing with it the familiar rhythm of rest, of stillness, and of sleep close to the earth. The evening settles slowly over the peaceful land of ancient Egypt. The sun now rests low along the horizon, its light soft and warm, spreading across the ground in long, quiet rays. The heat of the day continues to fade, replaced by a gentle coolness that begins to return to the air. Inside the home, the mats are now fully laid out. Each one rests flat upon the, carefully placed in the same familiar positions as the nights before. The woven reeds catch the last light of day, their patterns softly visible before the darkness begins to take them again. The wooden headrests sit beside each mat. Still. Simple. Ready. The family moves quietly. There is no rush. The child sits on the mat, their body already beginning to relax. The long day has settled into their movements, making them slower, softer, more at ease. The woman lights a small oil lamp. The flame appears gently, growing from a tiny spark into a steady glow. It casts a warm light across the room, touching the mats, the walls, and the quiet figures within. The man sits nearby, his posture calm, his presence steady. Outside, the village continues to quiet. The paths grow empty. The sounds of movement fade. The Nile River reflects the last light of the sun, its surface glowing softly before slowly dimming as the sky deepens. The breeze moves again, cooler now, more noticeable, carrying the feeling of night as it begins to arrive. The air feels calm, balanced, ready for rest. The transition from day to night is gentle, unforced. Like everything else in this quiet rhythm of life. As darkness slowly returns, the world becomes still once more. The sky deepens into soft shades of blue and black. The first stars begin to appear again, small and quiet, spreading slowly across the vast space above. Inside the home, the oil lamp flickers gently. Its light is enough to see, but not enough to disturb the calm. Shadows move slowly along the walls, stretching and shrinking with the soft motion of the flame. The family begins to lie down. The child lowers themselves onto the mat first, turning slightly, finding a comfortable position without effort. Their breathing begins to slow, their body relaxing into the firm, steady surface beneath them. The woman follows, placing her head gently onto the wooden rest. She adjusts it slightly, then becomes still, her eyes closing slowly. The man lies down last, stretching slightly before settling into place. The mats hold them quietly. The ground supports them fully. There is no softness of height. No distance from the earth. Only closeness. Only simplicity. Outside, the Nile River flows in darkness once again, its sound soft and steady. The reeds whisper lightly as the breeze moves through them. The village is quiet now. Only the smallest sounds remain. A faint movement. A soft breath. A distant whisper of wind. The night deepens. And in ancient Egypt, the people return once more to their simple, steady rest, lying on woven mats, close to the earth, surrounded by the calm presence of the night. The rhythm continues. Soft. Unchanging. Endless. The night settles deeper across the silent land of ancient Egypt, calm and unbroken. Inside the home, the oil lamp burns with a smaller flame now. Its light moves gently, barely shifting the shadows along the walls. The room feels wrapped in a soft darkness, quiet and steady. The sleepers lie still upon their woven mats. Their bodies have relaxed fully again, just as they did the night before. The firmness of the ground beneath them is no longer something they notice. It has become part of their rest, part of the way their bodies settle into sleep. The child's breathing is slow and even. The woman's posture is still, her head resting lightly upon the curved wooden support. The man lies quietly, his body at ease, his breath steady. There is no disturbance. No interruption. Only the soft rhythm of rest. Outside, the Nile River continues its endless movement through the darkness. Its quiet flow blends into the night, becoming part of the stillness rather than standing apart from it. The breeze moves gently across the land. It touches the walls of the home. It slips through small openings. It cools the air just enough to keep the space comfortable. Everything works together without effort. The ground, the air, the quiet, all of it supports sleep. This simple way of resting on mats close to the earth allows the body to remain connected to these natural elements. Nothing separates the sleeper from the environment around them. And in that connection, there is calm. There is balance. There is ease. As the night deepens further, the stillness grows even softer. The oil lamp flickers one last time, then slowly fades away, leaving the room in complete darkness. A faint trace of warmth remains where the flame once was, but even that begins to disappear. Now, only the quiet remains. The shapes of the room are no longer visible, but they are known. The walls. The mats. The resting bodies. Everything is in its place. The sleepers continue their deep rest. A slight movement passes through one of them, a small shift, a gentle turn, then stillness returns again. These movements are part of the rhythm of sleep. They do not break it. They belong to it. Outside, the sky is filled with stars once more. They stretch across the vast darkness, steady and silent, watching over the land without change. In ancient Egypt, these stars are part of the night's presence, part of the feeling of being surrounded by something larger, something calm and constant. The Nile River reflects their faint light as it moves along its path, never stopping, never rushing. The reeds along its banks sway softly. The breeze continues its quiet journey. And within the home, the people remain asleep, held gently by the simple comfort of their mats and the steady support of the earth beneath them. Time passes without notice. The night continues without sound. And the peaceful rhythm of rest carries on, deep and uninterrupted, through the quiet hours before morning begins again. The deep night stretches onward, calm and endless, across the quiet land of ancient Egypt. There is a softness now that feels complete. The world seems to rest within itself, with no movement that needs to be seen, no sound that needs to be heard. Everything exists in a gentle stillness. Inside the home, the darkness remains full but not heavy. It wraps around the room lightly, covering the walls, the floor, and the resting bodies without weight. The woven mats beneath the sleepers hold a quiet coolness, shaped by the long hours of night. The child shifts slightly, their hand moving across the mat for a brief moment before becoming still again. The woman's breathing remains slow and steady, her body relaxed, supported by the firm ground and the curved wooden rest beneath her head. The man lies quietly, his chest rising and falling in a calm, even rhythm. Nothing disturbs them. The simplicity of their resting place allows sleep to continue without interruption. There are no sudden changes, no unfamiliar sensations, only the steady presence of the earth beneath them and the quiet air around them. Outside, the Nile River continues its silent journey. Its surface reflects the stars faintly, small points of light moving gently with the flow of water. The reeds along its banks sway softly, brushing against one another in a quiet rhythm. The breeze moves through the village once more, touching each home, each wall, each resting figure. The air feels balanced. Cool enough for comfort. Still enough for rest. This is the deepest part of the night. A time when everything slows to its most gentle state. A time when sleep holds the body fully, without effort. Slowly, almost without notice, the night begins to change again. It is a very small change at first. So small that it cannot be seen. Only felt. The air shifts ever so slightly, carrying a faint difference that moves through the openings of the home. The stillness remains, but it begins to feel lighter, as if preparing to move forward. Inside, one of the sleepers takes a deeper breath. Then another. The rhythm of sleep continues, but it softens just a little. The wooden headrests remain cool beneath resting heads, unchanged, steady as always. The mats continue to support the body evenly, holding the quiet shapes of those who lie upon them. In ancient Egypt, this gentle transition is part of every night. There is no sudden waking. No sharp signal. Only a slow movement from deep rest toward lighter sleep. Outside, the stars begin their quiet shift across the sky. Their brightness softens slightly, though the darkness still holds strong. Far along the horizon, something begins to form. Not light yet, but the faintest hint of it. The Nile River carries this change in its reflection, its surface no longer completely dark, but touched by a subtle, almost invisible difference. The reeds continue their gentle movement. The breeze continues its quiet path. And within the home, the sleepers remain at rest, slowly, gently moving toward the next moment in the endless rhythm of night turning into morning. The calm remains unbroken. The silence remains whole. And time continues to pass in the softest way possible. The quiet shift of night continues, soft and almost unnoticeable, across the land of ancient Egypt. The darkness is still present, still calm, but it no longer feels as deep as before. It has begun to loosen, like a long-held breath slowly being released. Inside the home, the air carries a faint freshness now. It moves gently through the small openings, brushing across the woven mats, touching the resting bodies without waking them. The coolness is soft, not sharp, just enough to be felt in a quiet way. The sleepers remain still. Their breathing continues in a slow, steady rhythm. The child lies peacefully, one arm resting across their side. The woman's head rests lightly on the curved wooden support, her posture unchanged, her body fully at ease. The man shifts slightly, then becomes still again. These small movements are part of the night's rhythm. They come and go without breaking the calm. The mats beneath them remain steady, holding the quiet shapes of sleep, their woven surface cool and firm. Outside, the Nile River flows quietly, reflecting a sky that is beginning to change, though only in the smallest way. The stars above are still visible, but their brightness has softened just a little. Far in the distance, the horizon begins to separate gently from the sky, forming a faint line that was not there before. It is the earliest sign of morning. But the night still holds. Still calm. Still quiet. Still complete. As the moment continues, the first true hint of dawn begins to take shape. The horizon carries a pale softness now, a gentle glow that spreads slowly, almost like a memory returning. Inside the home, one of the sleepers stirs. A quiet movement. A slight turning of the head. The wooden headrest makes a faint contact sound against the ground, then rests again in silence. The body settles. Sleep continues, but it is lighter now. The deep stillness of the night has begun to ease. The air feels different. Fresh. Open. Moving with a quiet purpose that cannot be seen, only felt. In ancient Egypt, this moment belongs to the natural rhythm of the world. There is no signal to wake. No sound to announce the day. Only this slow, steady change. Outside, the land remains still. The fields are quiet. The paths are empty. The desert stretches far into the distance, resting under a sky that is no longer fully dark. The Nile River reflects the faint glow along the horizon, its surface touched by the earliest light of the coming day. The reeds sway gently once more. The breeze continues its soft movement. And inside the home, the sleepers remain at rest, their bodies slowly preparing to wake, guided not by time, but by the quiet changes of the world around them. The night is ending. But it does so gently. Without hurry. Without sound. Without breaking the calm. The soft glow along the horizon slowly spreads across the sky above ancient Egypt. It is still gentle, still quiet, but it grows with each passing moment. The darkness begins to lift, not all at once, but in layers, like a thin veil slowly being drawn away. Inside the home, the change begins to reach the sleepers more clearly now. The air feels lighter. Easier. A subtle warmth begins to return, though it is still faint, still far from the heat of the day. One of the sleepers takes a deeper breath. Another shifts slightly. The woven mats beneath them hold steady, their surface cool but slowly adjusting to the changing air. The wooden headrests remain in place, supporting without change, their smooth curves familiar through countless nights. The child's eyes move beneath closed lids, as if following the gentle pull of waking. The woman's breathing becomes a little lighter. The man remains still, but the depth of his sleep has begun to soften. Outside, the Nile River reflects the growing light, its surface now touched with a pale shimmer that moves softly with the water. The reeds along its banks begin to show their shape again, no longer just shadows, but forms gently outlined by the early light. A bird stirs. Then another. Their sounds are quiet, not yet fully awake, just small signs that the night is ending. The village remains mostly still. But the calm of night has changed into the calm of early morning. The light continues to grow, filling the sky with a soft brightness. The stars fade slowly, one by one, their presence gently disappearing as the day begins to take shape. Inside the home, the first eyes begin to open. The woman wakes first. Her eyes open slowly, adjusting to the dim but growing light. She does not move at once. She remains lying on the mat, her body still relaxed, her breathing calm. Her hand rests lightly on the woven surface beneath her, feeling its familiar texture. The mat is firm. Steady. Unchanging. It has held her through the night, just as it always does. Nearby, the child stirs again, their bodies shifting slightly, moving between sleep and waking. Their eyes open for a moment, then close again, holding on to the last softness of rest. The man opens his eyes more slowly, taking a quiet breath as he returns to the waking world. No one rushes. No one rises quickly. In ancient Egypt, waking follows the same gentle rhythm as sleep. It comes naturally, guided by the light, the air, and the quiet signals of the world. Outside, the sky has grown brighter. The horizon now clearly separates the earth from the sky. The Nile River carries the reflection of this growing light, its surface calm and steady as always. The reeds move softly in the breeze. Birds begin to call more clearly now, though their sounds remain gentle. The world is waking. And inside the home, the sleepers slowly follow, their bodies rising from rest in the same calm, steady way that the night once held them. The morning light continues to spread gently across the land of ancient Egypt. It moves slowly, touching the tops of the walls, the smooth ground, and the quiet faces of those who are waking. The light is not harsh. It is soft and patient, allowing the eyes to adjust without strain. Inside the home, the woman slowly lifts her head from the wooden rest. She places it gently to the side, where it will remain until night returns again. The curved surface rests quietly against the ground, unchanged, waiting for its next use. She takes a slow breath and sits up. Her movements are calm, steady, and without effort. Nearby, the child now wakes more fully. Their eyes open, blinking softly as they look around the room. For a moment, they remain still, as if holding on to the last feeling of sleep before letting it go. The man turns slightly and sits as well. There is no urgency. No sudden motion. Only a gradual return to the day. The woven mats beneath them still hold a trace of warmth from their bodies, though the air around them has begun to shift toward morning freshness. The ground feels firm beneath their hands as they prepare to rise. Outside, the Nile River now reflects the full glow of early light. Its surface moves gently, carrying the brightness along its path. The reeds stand clearly in the light, their shapes defined, their movement soft in the morning breeze. The village begins to stir once more. Doors open. Soft footsteps return. Voices rise gently, blending into a quiet rhythm of waking life. And inside the home, the family begins their slow transition from rest to movement once again. As the light fills the room, the day quietly takes its place. The woman places her hands on the mat and gently pushes herself to stand. Her feet touch the ground, feeling the cool, firm surface beneath her. The child follows, rising slowly, their movements soft and unsteady at first, then more sure. The man stands as well, stretching lightly, his body adjusting to the new day. The mats remain laid out for a moment longer. They have not yet been moved. There is a brief pause between sleep and the clearing of the space, a moment where the room still holds both night and day together. Then, quietly, the woman reaches for the edge of a mat. She begins to roll it. The motion is smooth and practiced, the woven reeds folding into themselves without resistance. The mat becomes smaller, easier to carry, easier to place aside. The others do the same. One by one, the mats are gathered and set against the wall. The wooden headrests are placed beside them, still and simple. The floor opens once more. The space changes. What was a place of rest becomes a place of daily life again. In ancient Egypt, this quiet transformation happens every morning. It is not spoken. It is not rushed. It simply happens, guided by habit, by rhythm, by the steady flow of time. Outside, the sun rises higher. The air warms gently. The Nile River continues its endless movement, reflecting the growing brightness of the sky. And within the home, the calm of the night remains, carried softly within each person as they begin the new day steady, quiet, and connected to the simple rhythm of life. The morning continues to open gently over the land of ancient Egypt. The sun rises a little higher, and its light becomes warmer, spreading softly across the ground and walls. The coolness of early morning begins to fade, though it still lingers in shaded corners and along the inner walls of the home. Inside, the mats now rest neatly against the wall. They are still, quiet, carrying no movement, yet holding the memory of the night that has just passed. The wooden headrests sit beside them, unchanged, their smooth shapes catching a small touch of morning light. The woman moves calmly through the room, her steps light against the firm earth. The child follows slowly, their energy still gentle, not yet fully awake. The man steps outside, pausing for a moment as he looks across the village. There is a sense of calm that continues from the night. A softness in every movement. A quiet rhythm that does not hurry. Outside, the paths begin to fill again. Soft footsteps move across the ground. Voices rise lightly, blending into a peaceful hum of activity. The Nile River reflects the growing brightness of the sky, its surface calm and steady, just as it was through the night. The reeds along its banks sway gently in the morning breeze. Everything feels connected. The land. The water. The homes. The people. And within this connection, the simple way of sleeping on woven mats close to the earth remains a quiet, natural part of life. As the sun climbs higher, the warmth of the day slowly returns. The air begins to settle again, growing slightly warmer with each passing moment. The light becomes clearer, stronger, filling every part of the space. Inside the home, the day has fully begun. The woman tends to her tasks, her movements steady and calm. The child sits nearby, watching, sometimes helping in small, quiet ways. The man moves in and out of the doorway, his presence part of the gentle rhythm of the morning. The ground beneath them remains the same. Firm. Supportive. Unchanging. It is the same ground that held their rest during the night. This connection does not break. In ancient Egypt, the body remains close to the earth at all times, whether in sleep or in waking. There is no distance, no separation, only a continuous relationship between the body and the ground beneath it. Outside, the village continues its quiet movement. People walk along the paths. Some carry water from the Nile River. Some begin their work in the fields. Their pace remains steady, never rushed. The breeze moves lightly through the space, carrying the faint scent of water and earth. The reeds continue their soft motion. The river continues its endless flow. And as the morning slowly moves toward midday, the memory of sleep fades gently into the background, never lost, only resting, waiting to return again when evening comes. The rhythm continues. Soft. Steady. Unbroken. The day continues its slow, steady path across the warm land of ancient Egypt. The sun rises higher, and its warmth settles more firmly over the ground. The light is now clear and full, reaching into every corner of the home, touching the walls, the floor, and the simple objects resting within. Inside, the mats remain against the wall. They are quiet now, resting, their purpose complete for the moment. Yet they are never forgotten. They are part of the rhythm, always ready to return when the day begins to fade. The wooden headrests sit beside them, unchanged, their smooth surfaces catching a soft reflection of the growing light. The woman moves gently through her work, her steps steady and calm. The child sits nearby, tracing small patterns on the ground with their fingers, their movements slow and thoughtful. The man stands outside for a moment, looking across the village as it continues its quiet rhythm. There is no rush in the air. Only a steady continuation. The calm of the night has softened into the calm of the day. Outside, the Nile River flows under the rising sun, its surface bright but never harsh. It reflects the sky above, carrying the light along its path. The reeds along its edge move gently in the breeze, their quiet motion adding to the peaceful rhythm of the morning. Everything feels connected. Nothing stands apart. The simple way of sleeping on woven mats, close to the ground, remains part of this connection, shaping not only the night, but the way the day begins and continues. As the hours pass, the warmth of the day deepens once more. The air grows still again, holding the heat gently across the land. Shadows shorten, gathering closer to the walls and beneath the feet of those who move along the paths. Inside the home, the light is steady. The ground feels warm beneath bare feet. The walls hold a quiet heat, softened slightly by their thickness. The woman pauses in her work and steps into a shaded area, resting her hand against the cooler surface of the wall. The child sits nearby, their movements slower now, feeling the warmth settle into the air. The man returns inside briefly, his presence calm, his steps light. This is the quiet middle of the day once again. A time when movement slows. When the body seeks stillness. When the rhythm softens. The mats remain unused, but their presence is still part of the space, leaning quietly, waiting for evening. Outside, the village becomes quieter. Fewer footsteps pass. Voices grow softer. Some people sit in shaded areas, resting gently, allowing the day to move around them without hurry. The Nile River continues its calm, steady flow, unchanged by the warmth, unchanged by time. A faint breeze moves through once more, bringing a small sense of relief. It touches the ground, the walls, the air inside the home. And in ancient Egypt, the quiet balance between rest and movement continues, guiding the day forward, just as it always has. The day begins to move gently beyond its warm center once again in the land of ancient Egypt. The sun remains high, but its intensity softens ever so slightly. The air, which had been still, begins to carry the faintest movement again. It is a quiet shift, almost unnoticed, but it brings a small sense of ease. Inside the home, the stillness of midday begins to pass. The woman lifts her gaze and moves again, her steps calm, her rhythm steady. The child, who had grown quiet in the warmth, begins to stir, their movements returning slowly. The man opens his eyes after a brief rest against the wall, taking a slow breath as he returns to the gentle flow of the day. The mats remain where they are. Leaning. Waiting. Silent. They hold no movement now, but their presence continues to belong to the space, just as the ground and walls do. Outside, the village begins to breathe again. Soft footsteps return to the paths. Voices rise gently, blending into a calm and steady sound. The Nile River reflects the light in a softer way now. Its surface remains calm, carrying the brightness without sharpness. The reeds move lightly as the breeze returns, brushing against one another with a quiet sound. The world shifts once more. From stillness to motion. From pause to continuation. And through it all, the same rhythm remains steady, quiet, and unbroken. As the afternoon unfolds, the warmth of the day slowly begins to ease. The air feels lighter now. More open. The heat lifts gently, allowing the breeze to move more freely through the land. Inside the home, the light changes its angle again. It enters from the side, stretching across the ground and walls in long, soft lines. The room feels calmer, as if preparing for the return of evening. The woman continues her work, her movements unhurried. The child moves nearby, more awake now, their steps light and steady. The man stands near the doorway, looking out at the village, his posture relaxed. There is a quiet feeling in this part of the day. Not the stillness of night. Not the freshness of morning. But a calm balance between the two. Outside, the village moves gently. People walk without hurry. Some speak softly. Some move in silence. The Nile River continues its endless flow, now reflecting the softer light of the afternoon sky. The reeds sway gently. The breeze passes through the space, touching everything lightly. And as the sun continues its slow descent, the thought of evening begins to return once more. It is still distant, but it is coming. And with it will come the quiet return of the mats to the ground, the gentle lowering of bodies to rest, and the simple, steady sleep that defines life in ancient Egypt. The rhythm continues. Soft. Endless. Unchanging. The afternoon slowly leans toward evening across the quiet land of ancient Egypt. The sun lowers just a little more, and its light softens into warmer tones. The air, once heavy with midday warmth, begins to ease, allowing a gentle movement to return. A soft breeze travels across touching the walls, the paths, and the still surfaces within each home. Inside, the space begins to feel different again. Calmer. Lighter. The woman pauses for a moment, her hands resting gently at her side. The child moves closer to the doorway, watching the outside world with quiet eyes. The man stands nearby, his posture relaxed, his breathing slow. There is a quiet sense of slowing. Not stopping. Just easing. The mats remain against the wall, but now they feel closer to use again. Their presence becomes more noticeable, as if the room itself remembers what will come next. Outside, the village carries a peaceful rhythm. People move without urgency. Their steps are light. Their voices remain soft. The Nile River reflects the changing sky, its surface now touched with warmer shades as the sun continues its descent. The reeds sway gently, their movement steady and calm. Everything begins to prepare, quietly, for the return of night. As the sun lowers further, the arrival of evening becomes clear. The light spreads across the sky in soft colors, fading slowly as it moves closer to the horizon. The air cools little by little, bringing a gentle comfort that replaces the warmth of the day. Inside the home, the family begins to slow their movements. The work of the day comes to an end. Hands grow still. Steps become softer. There is no clear moment when the day stops, it simply fades into quiet. The woman turns toward the mats. She walks slowly and lifts one, unrolling it across the ground with a smooth, practiced motion. The woven reeds unfold easily, returning to their flat, steady shape. The child watches, then carefully helps with a smaller mat, placing it beside the first. The man prepares his place as well, laying his mat in a familiar spot, one used many times before. The wooden headrests are brought forward. Placed gently beside each mat. Waiting. The room begins to change again. The open space of the day becomes the resting space of the night. Outside, the sky deepens. The sun nears the horizon. The Nile River glows softly under the fading light, reflecting the quiet colors of evening. The village begins to settle. Footsteps grow fewer. Voices lower. And in ancient Egypt, the calm return of night begins once more, bringing with it the familiar rhythm of rest, of stillness, and of sleep close to the earth. The evening settles gently once more over the land of ancient Egypt. The sun now rests low, its final light stretching softly across the before slowly fading away. The warmth of the day continues to slip into the air, leaving behind a cooler, calmer feeling that moves quietly through the village. Inside the home, the mats are now fully laid out again. Each one rests in its familiar place, smooth and steady upon the ground. The woven reeds hold a quiet strength, ready to support the body through another night. The wooden headrests sit beside them. Still. Simple. Waiting. The woman lights a small oil lamp. The flame appears gently, growing into a soft, steady glow that fills only part of the room. It does not disturb the calm. It only adds a quiet warmth to the space. The child sits on the mat, their body already relaxing, their movements slowing as the feeling of sleep begins to return. The man sits nearby, calm and still, his presence part of the quiet rhythm of evening. Outside, the village grows quieter. The paths empty. The sounds of the day fade into silence. The Nile River reflects the last light of the sky, its surface glowing softly before darkening again. The breeze moves gently through the air, carrying the coolness of night. Everything slows. Everything softens. Everything prepares for rest. As darkness returns, the night gently takes its place once again. The sky deepens into quiet shades of blue and black. The first stars appear, small and distant, spreading slowly across the wide sky. Inside the home, the oil lamp flickers softly, its light casting slow-moving shadows along the walls. The family begins to lie down. The child lowers themselves onto the mat first, turning slightly, finding a comfortable position without effort. Their breathing begins to slow almost immediately. The woman follows, placing her head carefully onto the wooden rest. She adjusts it slightly, then becomes still, her eyes closing gently. The man lies down last, stretching lightly before settling into place. The mats hold them quietly. The ground supports them fully. There is no distance from the earth. Only closeness. Only calm. Outside, the Nile River flows softly through the darkness, its sound steady and unchanging. The reeds whisper as the breeze passes through them. The village is silent now. Only the smallest sounds remain. A soft breath. A faint movement. The quiet presence of the night. And once again, in the peaceful rhythm of ancient Egypt, the people drift into sleep on woven mats, close to the earth, surrounded by the calm, steady world that holds them gently through the night. The cycle continues. Soft. Unbroken. Endless. The night deepens once more across the still land of ancient Egypt. The oil lamp inside the home burns quietly, its flame smaller now, moving gently with the slightest touch of air. Its light is soft and limited, resting close to the ground, leaving much of the room in calm shadow. The sleepers lie still upon their woven mats. Their bodies have settled fully again, releasing the last traces of the day. The firmness beneath them no longer feels firm, it simply feels natural, as if the ground itself has become part of their rest. The child's breathing is slow and even. The woman's posture remains quiet and relaxed, her head supported gently by the smooth curve of the wooden rest. The man lies nearby, his breath steady, his body calm. Nothing disturbs them. There are no sudden sounds. No sharp movements. Only the soft rhythm of sleep. Outside, the Nile River continues its quiet flow through the darkness. Its presence is steady, almost like a long, slow breath moving through the land. The reeds along its banks sway lightly, brushing together in a faint, almost hidden sound. The breeze moves gently through the village. It touches the walls of each home. It slips softly through small openings. It cools the air just enough to keep everything balanced. This simple way of resting close to the ground, without layers or height, keeps the body connected to these natural changes. The air, the earth, and the quiet all become part of the sleep itself. And within that connection, there is peace. There is stillness. There is ease. As the night grows deeper, the world becomes even more quiet. The oil lamp flickers once, then again, before slowly fading out. A thin line of smoke rises gently, then disappears into the darkness. Now the room is completely dark. The shapes of the walls and mats are no longer visible, but they are still known. Everything remains in its place, steady and familiar. The sleepers continue their rest. A small movement passes through one of them, a gentle shift, a quiet turn, then stillness returns again. These movements do not break the calm. They are part of it. Outside, the sky is filled with stars. They stretch across the darkness, quiet and steady, their light faint but constant. In ancient Egypt, this sky has always been part of the night, part of the feeling of being held within something vast and calm. The Nile River reflects these small points of light as it flows, its surface carrying their faint glow along its path. The reeds continue their gentle motion. The breeze continues its quiet movement. And inside the home, the people remain asleep, supported by the woven mats and the steady beneath them. Time passes without notice. The night continues without sound. And the calm, repeating rhythm of rest carries on, deep and unbroken, through the long, quiet hours before morning begins again. The deep night continues its quiet passage across the land of ancient Egypt. There is a calm that feels complete now. The world rests without effort, without movement that needs to be seen or heard. Everything is held gently within the stillness. Inside the home, the darkness remains soft. It is not heavy. It does not press. It simply surrounds. The woven mats beneath the sleepers have cooled again, holding a gentle balance that supports the body without discomfort. The beneath them remains firm and steady, unchanged through the long hours of the night. The child lies quietly, one hand resting lightly on the mat. The woman's breathing is slow and even, her body fully relaxed. The man remains still, his chest rising and falling in a calm rhythm. No one wakes. No one stirs for long. Sleep continues, deep and unbroken. Outside, the Nile River moves through the darkness, its steady flow blending into the quiet of the night. It does not rush. It does not pause. It simply continues, as it always has. The reeds along its edge sway softly, their faint sound barely noticeable within the stillness. A light breeze passes through the village once more. It touches the walls. It moves across the ground. It slips gently through the small openings of the home. The air feels cool, balanced, calm. This is the hour when the world feels most distant from the day. The memory of sunlight has faded. The presence of morning has not yet arrived. Only the present moment remains. Still. Quiet. Complete. Slowly, almost without being noticed, the night begins to change again. It is not a visible change at first. It is something felt. A slight shift in the air. A soft easing of the stillness. Inside the home, one of the sleepers takes a deeper breath. Then another. The rhythm of sleep continues, but it begins to lighten just a little. The wooden headrests remain cool and steady beneath resting heads. The mats continue to support the body evenly, holding the quiet shapes of sleep. In ancient Egypt, this gentle transition is part of every night. There is no sudden break between deep rest and waking, only a slow, steady movement from one to the other. Outside, the stars shift slightly across the sky. Their brightness softens, though the darkness still holds. Far along the horizon, the faintest hint of change begins again. Not light. Not yet. Just a quiet difference. The Nile River reflects this change in its own subtle way, its surface no longer completely dark, but touched by a soft, almost unseen glow. The reeds continue their gentle motion. The breeze continues its calm path. And inside the home, the sleepers remain at rest, slowly, gently moving toward the next moment in the endless rhythm of night turning into morning. The calm remains. The silence remains. And time continues to pass in the softest way. The quiet shift of the night continues, gentle and almost invisible, across the wide land of ancient Egypt. The darkness is still present, still calm, but it no longer feels as deep as before. It begins to soften, as if the night itself is slowly preparing to rest. Inside the home, the air carries a faint freshness once more. It moves softly through the space, brushing across the woven mats, touching the resting bodies without waking them. The beneath them remains cool and steady, holding the quiet weight of sleep. The child shifts slightly, their breathing still slow, their body still relaxed. The woman remains still, her head resting gently, her posture unchanged. The man takes a deeper breath, then settles again into quiet stillness. These small movements pass through the night like soft waves, never disturbing the calm. The mats continue to support them, firm yet comfortable, their woven texture familiar and steady. Outside, the Nile River flows in silence, reflecting a sky that is slowly beginning to change. The stars remain, but their light softens just a little. Far along the horizon, a faint separation begins to form between sky and earth. It is the earliest sign of morning. But the night still holds. Still calm. Still quiet. Still complete. As the moment continues, the first true hint of dawn begins to return. A pale glow forms along the horizon, spreading slowly, gently, like a soft breath across the sky. Inside the home, one of the sleepers stirs. A small movement. A quiet turning of the head. The wooden headrest makes a faint sound as it shifts slightly, then becomes still again. The body settles. Sleep continues, but it is lighter now. The deep stillness of the night begins to ease. The air feels open. Fresh. Moving with a quiet purpose that can only be felt. In ancient Egypt, this moment belongs to the natural rhythm of the world. There are no sudden signals, no sharp sounds, only this gentle change that leads toward waking. Outside, the land remains still. The paths are empty. The fields rest quietly. The desert stretches into the distance, holding the last traces of night. The Nile River reflects the faint glow along the horizon, its surface touched with the earliest light. The reeds sway softly once more. The breeze continues its gentle path. And inside the home, the sleepers remain at rest, slowly, gently moving toward waking, guided only by the quiet changes of the world around them. The night is ending again. But it does so softly. Without hurry. Without sound. Without breaking the calm. The pale light of early dawn slowly spreads across the horizon above ancient Egypt. It moves gently, like a soft wave, pushing back the darkness without force. The sky begins to take on a faint brightness, not yet full, not yet strong, but steady and calm. Inside the home, this quiet change begins to reach the sleepers. The air feels lighter now. There is a subtle warmth returning, though it is still delicate, still far from the heat of the day. One of the sleepers takes a slow, deeper breath. Another shifts slightly. The woven mats beneath them hold steady, their surface cool but slowly adjusting to the changing air. The wooden headrests remain in place, smooth and unchanged, part of a rhythm that continues night after night. The child stirs, their body moving gently, as if waking from a deep and quiet place. The woman's breathing softens, becoming lighter. The man remains still, but the depth of his sleep has begun to ease. Outside, the Nile River reflects the growing light, its surface carrying a soft shimmer that moves with the water. The reeds along its banks begin to show their shape again, no longer hidden in darkness. A bird makes a small sound. Then another. The village remains mostly quiet, but the feeling of morning has begun. The light continues to grow, slowly filling the sky with a soft brightness. The stars begin to fade, their presence becoming faint as the day approaches. The horizon becomes clearer, separating the earth from the sky in a gentle line. Inside the home, the first eyes begin to open again. The woman wakes slowly, her eyes adjusting to the dim but growing light. She remains still for a moment, her body resting on the mat, her hand lightly touching its woven surface. The mat feels familiar. Firm. Steady. A quiet support through the night. Nearby, the child opens their eyes halfway, then closes them again briefly, holding on to the last feeling of sleep. The man opens his eyes more gradually, taking a calm breath as he returns to the waking world. No one rushes. No one rises quickly. In ancient Egypt, waking follows the same gentle rhythm as sleep. It comes naturally, guided by light and air, not by sudden signals. Outside, the sky has grown brighter. The Nile River carries the reflection of this new light, its surface calm and steady. The reeds move softly in the morning breeze. Birds begin to call more clearly now, though their sounds remain gentle. The world is waking once more. And inside the home, the sleepers slowly follow, their bodies rising from rest in the same calm, steady way that the night once held them. The morning light continues to unfold across the peaceful land of ancient Egypt. It spreads gently, filling the sky with a soft brightness that grows with each passing moment. The coolness of the early dawn begins to ease, replaced by a faint warmth that rests lightly on the. Inside the home, the woman slowly lifts her head from the wooden rest. She places it carefully to the side, where it will remain until night returns again. The small sound it makes as it touches the ground is quiet, almost hidden within the stillness. She takes a slow breath and sits up. Her movements are calm, unhurried, as if she is still carrying the softness of sleep within her. The child begins to wake more fully now. Their eyes open, blinking gently as they look around the room. For a moment, they remain still, sitting on the mat, feeling the quiet presence of the morning. The man turns slightly and sits as well, his breathing steady, his body at ease. There is no rush. No sudden change. Only a slow return to the day. The woven mats beneath them still hold a trace of warmth, though the air around them has begun to shift toward the freshness of morning. Outside, the Nile River reflects the growing light, its surface calm and steady, carrying the brightness gently along its path. The reeds stand clearly now, moving softly in the breeze. The village begins to stir again. Doors open. Soft footsteps return. Voices rise gently, blending into the quiet rhythm of waking life. And inside the home, the family begins their slow transition from rest to movement once more. As the light fills the space, the day quietly takes shape again. The woman places her hands on the mat and gently rises to her feet. The beneath her feels cool and firm, steady as always. The child follows, standing slowly, their movements soft and careful. The man stands as well, stretching lightly, his body adjusting to the return of activity. For a moment, the mats remain where they are. There is a brief pause, a quiet space between sleep and the clearing of the room. Then the woman reaches for the edge of a mat and begins to roll it. The motion is smooth and familiar, the woven reeds folding easily into themselves. The child helps with a smaller mat, their movements gentle but focused. The man gathers his mat as well, placing it carefully beside the others. The wooden headrests are set nearby, resting quietly. The floor opens again. The room changes. What was once a place of rest becomes a place of daily life. In ancient Egypt, this quiet transformation happens every morning, just as it has for generations. Outside, the sun rises higher. The air warms softly. The Nile River continues its endless flow, reflecting the brightening sky. And within the home, the calm of the night remains, carried gently into the day, steady, quiet, and deeply connected to the simple rhythm of life. The morning continues its slow and gentle rise across the land of ancient Egypt. The sun lifts higher into the sky, and its warmth begins to settle more clearly over the light grows brighter, filling the open spaces, the narrow paths, and the quiet interiors of the homes. Inside the home, the mats now rest once again against the wall. They are still, folded, waiting. Their purpose has paused, but only for a time. The wooden headrests sit beside them, unchanged, their smooth shapes catching a soft reflection of the morning light. The woman moves calmly through the space, her steps steady and familiar. The child follows, their movements light, still carrying a trace of the quiet from the night. The man steps outside, pausing for a moment to look across the village. There is a softness in everything. A calm that has not yet been replaced by the full energy of the day. Outside, the paths begin to fill again. People walk slowly, their footsteps quiet. Voices rise gently, blending into a peaceful hum. The Nile River reflects the growing brightness of the sky, its surface calm and steady, just as it has always been. The reeds along its banks sway lightly in the breeze. Everything feels connected. The land, the water, the homes, the people. And within this connection, the simple way of sleeping on woven mats close to the earth remains a quiet, natural part of life. As the sun climbs higher, the warmth of the day slowly returns once more. The air begins to settle, growing slightly warmer with each passing moment. The coolness of early morning fades, leaving behind a steady, gentle heat. Inside the home, the day is fully present now. The woman continues her work, her movements calm and practiced. The child sits nearby, watching, sometimes helping in small, quiet ways. The man moves in and out of the doorway, his presence part of the steady rhythm of the morning. The beneath them remains the same. Firm. Supportive. Unchanging. It is the same ground that held their rest through the night. This connection does not change. In ancient Egypt, the body remains close to the earth at all times, whether resting or waking, still or moving. Outside, the village continues its gentle movement. People walk along the paths. Some carry water from the Nile River. Some move toward their daily work. Their pace remains steady, unhurried. A light breeze passes through, carrying the faint scent of water and earth. The reeds move softly. The river continues its endless flow. And as the morning slowly moves toward midday once again, the memory of sleep fades into the background, never gone, only waiting, ready to return when the evening comes. The rhythm continues. Soft. Steady. Endless. The day continues its quiet journey across the warm land of ancient Egypt. The sun rises higher, and its light becomes stronger, though it still feels gentle in its presence. The air begins to hold more warmth, settling slowly over the still surfaces within each home. Inside, the mats remain against the wall. They are untouched. Silent. A quiet part of the room, waiting for their time to return. The wooden headrests sit beside them, unchanged, their smooth surfaces catching the steady light of the day. The woman moves with calm purpose, her steps light against the ground. The child sits nearby, tracing small lines in the dust, their movements slow and thoughtful. The man stands outside for a moment, watching the quiet movement of the village. There is no rush. No urgency. Only a steady continuation of the morning. Outside, the Nile River flows beneath the bright sky, its surface reflecting the light in a calm and steady way. The reeds along its banks sway gently as a soft breeze moves through them. Everything feels connected. Everything moves in quiet balance. The simple way of sleeping on woven mats, close to the earth, remains part of this balance, shaping not only the night, but the way each day begins and continues. As time passes, the warmth of the day deepens once again. The air becomes stiller. The light grows stronger. Shadows shorten, drawing closer to the walls and the ground. Inside the home, the space feels warmer now. The beneath bare feet holds a gentle heat. The walls carry warmth, softened slightly by their thickness. The woman pauses, stepping into a shaded area, her hand resting lightly against the cooler surface of the wall. The child sits quietly, their movements slower, feeling the calm weight of the midday air. The man returns inside, his steps steady, his presence calm. This is the quiet center of the day. A time when movement slows. When the body seeks stillness. When even the land seems to rest. The mats remain unused, but their presence is still felt, part of the quiet rhythm that will return again in the evening. Outside, the village becomes quieter. Fewer footsteps pass. Voices soften. Some people sit in the shade, resting gently, allowing the day to move around them. The Nile River continues its calm flow, unchanged by the heat, unchanged by time. A faint breeze passes through once more. It touches the ground, the walls, the air within the home. And in ancient Egypt, the quiet balance between rest and movement continues, guiding the day forward in the same gentle rhythm that shapes the night. The day slowly begins to move beyond its warm center once more in the land of ancient Egypt. The sun remains high, but its strength begins to soften, almost too gently to notice. The air, which had been still, starts to carry a faint movement again. It passes lightly through the open spaces, bringing a quiet sense of ease. Inside the home, the stillness of midday begins to lift. The woman moves again, her steps calm and steady. The child stirs from their quiet rest, lifting their head and looking around with soft, waking eyes. The man opens his eyes slowly, taking a long breath as he returns from a brief pause of stillness. The mats remain leaning against the wall. Silent. Patient. They do not change, yet they remain part of the rhythm, waiting quietly for the evening to come. Outside, the village begins to move again. Soft footsteps return to the paths. Voices rise gently, blending into a calm and steady sound. The Nile River reflects the light in a softer way now. Its surface carries the brightness without sharpness, flowing as it always has. The reeds sway lightly in the breeze, brushing against one another in a soft, steady rhythm. The world shifts again. From stillness to motion. From quiet pause to gentle continuation. As the afternoon unfolds, the warmth of the day begins to ease. The air feels lighter now. More open. The heat lifts slowly, allowing the breeze to move more freely through the land. Inside the home, the light changes its direction. It enters from the side, stretching across in long, soft shapes. The room feels calmer, as if preparing for the return of evening. The woman continues her work without hurry. The child moves nearby, more awake now, their steps light and steady. The man stands near the doorway, looking out across the village, his posture relaxed. There is a quiet balance in this part of the day. Not the deep stillness of night. Not the fresh calm of morning. But something in between. Steady. Peaceful. Outside, the village breathes gently. People walk without rush. Some speak softly. Some move in silence. The Nile River continues its endless flow, now reflecting the softer tones of the afternoon sky. The reeds sway gently. The breeze moves across the land, touching everything lightly. And as the sun continues its slow descent, the thought of evening returns once more. It is not yet here. But it is coming. And with it will come the quiet return of rest, the unrolling of mats, the lowering of bodies to the ground, and the simple, steady sleep that shapes life in ancient Egypt. The rhythm continues. Soft. Endless. Unbroken. The afternoon slowly leans toward evening once again across the quiet land of ancient Egypt. The sun lowers a little more, and its light softens into warm, golden tones. The air, once still with heat, begins to move again, carrying a gentle coolness that touches the walls of the homes. Inside, the space begins to change. Not suddenly, but quietly. The woman pauses, her hands resting softly at her side. The child moves closer to the doorway, watching the outside world with calm, steady eyes. The man stands nearby, his posture relaxed, his breathing slow and even. There is a feeling of easing, of slowing. The day begins to release its hold. The mats remain against the wall, but now they feel closer to being used again. Their presence becomes more noticeable, as if the room itself remembers the coming night. Outside, the village carries a peaceful rhythm. People move without hurry. Their footsteps are soft. Their voices remain low. The Nile River reflects the changing sky, its surface touched with the warm colors of the lowering sun. The reeds sway gently, their movement steady and calm. Everything prepares, quietly, for the return of evening. As the sun moves closer to the horizon, the arrival of evening becomes clear. The light fades slowly, spreading soft colors across the sky. The air cools little by little, bringing a quiet comfort that replaces the warmth of the day. Inside the home, the family begins to slow their movements. The work of the day comes to an end. Hands grow still. Steps soften. There is no clear moment when the day stops, it simply fades into calm. The woman turns toward the mats. She walks slowly and lifts one, unrolling it across the ground. The woven reeds unfold smoothly, returning to their flat, steady shape. The child watches, then carefully helps with a smaller mat, placing it beside the first. The man prepares his place as well, laying his mat in a familiar spot. The wooden headrests are brought forward, placed gently beside each mat. Waiting. The room changes once more. The open space of the day becomes the resting space of the night. Outside, the sky deepens in color. The sun nears the edge of the horizon. The Nile River glows softly, reflecting the fading light. The village begins to quiet. Footsteps lessen. Voices grow softer. And in ancient Egypt, the calm return of night begins again, bringing with it the familiar rhythm of rest, stillness, and sleep close to the earth. The cycle continues. Gentle. Unending. Peaceful. The evening settles once more across the peaceful land of ancient Egypt. The sun has nearly disappeared now, leaving behind a soft glow that slowly fades into the quiet sky. The warmth of the day continues to slip away, replaced by a gentle coolness that moves calmly through the air. Inside the home, the mats are fully laid out again. Each one rests in its familiar place upon the smooth and steady, ready to hold the body through another night. The woven reeds carry a quiet strength, simple but enough. The wooden headrests sit beside them. Still. Unchanged. Waiting. The woman lights the oil lamp. Its small flame rises gently, creating a soft circle of light within the room. The shadows it casts move slowly along the walls, stretching and shifting with quiet grace. The child sits upon the mat, their body already relaxing, their movements slowing as the calm of night begins to settle over them. The man sits nearby, still and quiet, his presence steady. Outside, the village grows quieter. The paths empty. The sounds of the day fade into stillness. The Nile River reflects the last traces of light, its surface glowing softly before returning to darkness. A gentle breeze moves through the space, carrying the coolness of the coming night. Everything softens. Everything slows. Everything prepares for rest. As darkness gently returns, the night takes its place once again. The sky deepens into quiet shades of blue and black. The first stars appear, small and steady, spreading slowly across the vast sky. Inside the home, the oil lamp flickers softly, its light steady but calm. The family begins to lie down. The child lowers themselves onto the mat first, turning slightly until they find a comfortable position. Their breathing begins to slow, their body settling into rest. The woman follows, placing her head gently onto the wooden rest. She adjusts it slightly, then becomes still, her eyes closing without effort. The man lies down last, stretching lightly before settling into place. The mats hold them quietly. The ground supports them fully. There is no height. No separation. Only closeness to the earth. Only calm. Outside, the Nile River flows softly through the darkness, its sound steady and gentle. The reeds whisper as the breeze moves through them. The village is silent now. Only the smallest sounds remain. A soft breath. A quiet movement. The still presence of the night. And once again, in the calm rhythm of ancient Egypt, the people drift into sleep resting on simple woven mats, close to the earth, surrounded by the quiet world that holds them gently through the night. The rhythm continues. Soft. Endless. Unbroken. The night deepens once again over the quiet land of ancient Egypt. The small flame of the oil lamp grows weaker, its light soft and unsteady as it flickers gently. The shadows along the walls move slowly, then begin to fade as the flame becomes smaller. Inside the home, the sleepers lie still upon their woven mats. Their bodies have relaxed completely, releasing the last traces of the day. The firmness beneath them no longer feels firm, it feels natural, familiar, as if day itself has become part of their rest. The child's breathing is soft and even. The woman rests quietly, her head supported by the smooth curve of the wooden headrest. The man lies nearby, his breath slow, his body still. Nothing disturbs them. There is no sudden sound. No sharp movement. Only the gentle rhythm of sleep. Outside, the Nile River continues its calm, steady flow through the darkness. It moves without effort, without change, carrying the quiet of the night along its path. The reeds along its banks sway softly, brushing together in a faint, steady whisper. A light breeze passes through the village. It touches the walls. It moves across the ground. It slips gently into the home, cooling the air just enough to keep everything in balance. This simple way of sleeping close to the ground, without layers or height, keeps the body connected to these quiet changes. The air, the earth, and the stillness all become part of the rest itself. And within that connection, There is calm. There is peace. There is quiet ease. As the night grows deeper, the world becomes even more still. The oil lamp flickers one last time, then slowly fades away, leaving the room in complete darkness. A faint trace of warmth remains where the flame once burned, but even that begins to disappear. Now, only the quiet remains. The shapes of the room are no longer visible, yet they are known. The walls. The mats. The resting bodies. Everything remains in its place. The sleepers continue their rest. A small movement passes through one of them, a gentle turn, a quiet shift, then stillness returns again. These movements are part of the rhythm of sleep. They do not disturb it. They belong to it. Outside, the sky is filled with stars. They stretch across the darkness, silent and steady, their faint light resting gently over the land. In ancient Egypt, this sky has always been part of the night, part of the feeling of being surrounded by something vast and calm. The Nile River reflects their light as it flows, its surface carrying small points of brightness along its quiet path. The reeds continue their gentle movement. The breeze continues its soft journey. And inside the home, the people remain asleep, supported by the woven mats and the steady beneath them. Time passes without notice. The night continues without sound. And the calm, repeating rhythm of rest carries on, deep and unbroken, through the long, quiet hours before morning begins again. The deep night continues its gentle hold over the quiet land of ancient Egypt. There is a stillness now that feels complete, as if the world itself has settled into a soft, endless breath. Nothing moves with urgency. Nothing asks to be noticed. Everything simply rests. Inside the home, the darkness remains calm and full. It does not press or weigh down. It surrounds lightly, like a quiet covering laid gently over the room. The woven mats beneath the sleepers have cooled again, holding a steady, comforting balance. The beneath them remains firm and unchanged, offering its quiet support without effort. The child lies peacefully, one arm resting softly along their side. The woman's breathing is slow and even, her body fully relaxed, her head resting on the curved wooden support. The man remains still, his chest rising and falling in a calm rhythm. No one wakes. No one stirs for long. Sleep continues, deep and unbroken. Outside, the Nile River flows quietly through the darkness. Its movement is steady, like a long, slow breath carried across the land. The reeds along its banks sway gently, their faint sound blending into the stillness. A light breeze passes through the village. It brushes against the walls. It moves softly across the ground. It slips into the home, touching the air within without disturbance. The air feels cool, balanced, peaceful. This is the deepest part of the night once more. A time when everything slows to its quietest state. A time when sleep holds the body fully, without effort. Slowly, almost without being noticed, the night begins to change again. It is a small change at first. So small it cannot be seen. Only felt. The air shifts slightly, carrying a faint difference that moves gently through the room. The stillness remains, but it begins to feel lighter, as if it is preparing to move forward. Inside, one of the sleepers takes a deeper breath. Then another. The rhythm of sleep continues, but it softens just a little. The wooden headrests remain cool and steady beneath resting heads. The mats continue to support the body evenly, holding the quiet shapes of sleep. In ancient Egypt, this gentle transition belongs to every night. There is no sudden waking, no sharp signal, only a slow movement from deep rest toward lighter sleep. Outside, the stars shift across the sky. Their brightness softens, though the darkness still holds. Far along the horizon, a faint difference begins to form. Not light. Not yet. Just a quiet separation between sky and earth. The Nile River reflects this change in its own subtle way, its surface no longer completely dark, but touched by a soft, almost unseen glow. The reeds continue their gentle movement. The breeze continues its quiet path. And inside the home, the sleepers remain at rest, slowly, gently moving toward the next moment in the endless rhythm of night turning into morning. The calm remains. The silence remains. And time continues to pass in the softest, most peaceful way. The quiet shift of night continues, soft and almost invisible, across the wide land of ancient Egypt. The darkness is still present, still calm, but it no longer feels as deep as before. It begins to loosen, gently, like a long breath slowly coming to its end. Inside the home, the air carries a faint freshness again. It moves softly through the space, brushing across the woven mats, touching the resting bodies without waking them. The beneath them remains cool and steady, holding the quiet weight of sleep. The child shifts slightly, their hand moving for a brief moment before becoming still again. The woman remains at rest, her breathing calm and even. The man takes a slow, deeper breath, then settles once more into quiet stillness. These small movements pass gently through the night, never breaking its calm. The mats continue to support them, firm and steady, their woven texture familiar beneath their bodies. Outside, the Nile River flows quietly, reflecting a sky that is beginning to change in the smallest way. The stars remain, but their light softens slightly. Far along the horizon, a faint line begins to form a gentle separation between sky and earth. It is the earliest sign of morning. But the night still holds. Still calm. Still complete. As the moment continues, the first true hint of dawn begins to return. A pale glow appears along the horizon, spreading slowly, softly, like a quiet breath across the sky. Inside the home, one of the sleepers stirs. A small movement. A quiet turning of the head. The wooden headrest makes a faint sound as it shifts slightly, then rests again in silence. The body settles. Sleep continues, but it has grown lighter now. The deep stillness of the night begins to ease. The air feels open. Fresh. Moving with a quiet purpose that cannot be seen. In ancient Egypt, this moment belongs to the natural rhythm of the world. There is no sudden signal to wake, only this gentle change that leads toward morning. Outside, the land remains still. The paths are empty. The fields rest quietly. The desert stretches into the distance, holding the last quiet of night. The Nile River reflects the faint glow along the horizon, its surface touched by the earliest light. The reeds sway softly. The breeze continues its gentle path. And inside the home, the sleepers remain at rest, slowly, gently moving toward waking, guided only by the quiet changes of the world around them. The night is ending again. But it ends softly. Without hurry. Without sound. Without breaking the calm. The pale light of dawn slowly spreads across the horizon above ancient Egypt. It grows gently, without force, without sudden change. The darkness begins to lift in quiet layers, revealing the soft outline of the land once more. Inside the home, the air feels lighter now. There is a subtle warmth returning, still delicate, still calm. It moves slowly through the room, touching the mats, the walls, and the resting bodies. One of the sleepers takes a deeper breath. Another shifts slightly. The woven mats beneath them remain steady, their surface cool but slowly adjusting to the changing air. The wooden headrests remain in place, smooth and unchanged, part of the quiet rhythm that continues night after night. The child stirs again, their body moving gently, as if drifting toward waking. The woman's breathing becomes lighter. The man remains still, though his sleep begins to soften. Outside, the Nile River reflects the growing light, its surface touched with a soft shimmer that moves with the flow of water. The reeds along its banks begin to show their shape again. A bird makes a quiet sound. Then another. The village remains mostly silent, but the feeling of morning has begun. The light continues to grow, filling the sky with a soft brightness. The stars begin to fade, one by one, their presence gently disappearing as the day approaches. The horizon becomes clearer, separating the earth from the sky in a calm, steady line. Inside the home, the first eyes begin to open again. The woman wakes slowly, her eyes adjusting to the dim light. She remains lying on the mat for a moment, her body still relaxed, her hand resting lightly against the woven surface beneath her. The mat feels familiar. Firm. Steady. A quiet support through the night. Nearby, the child opens their eyes briefly, then closes them again, holding on to the last softness of sleep. The man opens his eyes more gradually, taking a slow breath as he returns to the waking world. No one rushes. No one rises quickly. In ancient Egypt, waking follows the same gentle rhythm as sleep. It comes naturally, guided by light and air, not by sudden signals. Outside, the sky has grown brighter. The Nile River carries the reflection of this new light, its surface calm and steady. The reeds move softly in the morning breeze. Birds begin to call more clearly now, though their sounds remain gentle. The world is waking once more. And inside the home, the sleepers slowly follow, rising from rest in the same calm, steady way that the night once held them. The morning light continues to unfold softly across the land of ancient Egypt. It spreads without effort, touching the walls, and the quiet faces of those who are waking. The brightness grows gently, never harsh, allowing the eyes to open slowly and comfortably. Inside the home, the woman lifts her head from the wooden rest. She places it carefully to the side, where it will remain until night returns again. The small sound it makes against the ground is soft and brief. She takes a slow breath and sits up. Her movements are calm, steady, as if the quiet of the night still lives within her. The child begins to wake more fully now. Their eyes open, blinking gently, adjusting to the light. They remain still for a moment, sitting on the mat, feeling the calm presence of the morning. The man turns slightly and sits as well, his breathing even, his posture relaxed. There is no hurry. No sudden movement. Only a slow return to the day. The woven mats beneath them still hold a trace of warmth, though the air around them has begun to shift toward freshness. Outside, the Nile River reflects the growing light, its surface calm and steady, carrying brightness along its path. The reeds stand clearly now, moving softly in the breeze. The village begins to stir again. Doors open. Soft footsteps return. Voices rise gently, blending into the quiet rhythm of waking life. And inside the home, the family begins their slow transition from rest to movement once more. As the light fills the room, the day quietly takes shape again. The woman places her hands upon the mat and gently rises to her feet. The beneath her feels cool and firm, steady as always. The child follows, standing slowly, their movements soft and careful. The man stands as well, stretching lightly, his body adjusting to the return of activity. For a brief moment, the mats remain laid out. There is a quiet pause, a space between sleep and the clearing of the room. Then the woman reaches for the edge of a mat and begins to roll it. The motion is smooth and practiced, the woven reeds folding easily into themselves. The child helps with a smaller mat, placing it neatly beside the others. The man gathers his mat as well, setting it gently against the wall. The wooden headrests are placed nearby. Still. Simple. Waiting. The floor opens once again. The space changes. What was a place of rest becomes a place of daily life. In ancient Egypt, this quiet transformation happens every morning, just as it has for countless days before. Outside, the sun rises higher. The air warms gently. The Nile River continues its endless flow, reflecting the brightening sky. And within the home, the calm of the night remains, carried softly into the day, steady, quiet, and part of the simple rhythm of life. The morning continues its slow and gentle rise across the land of ancient Egypt. The sun climbs a little higher, and its warmth begins to settle more clearly over the light grows stronger, yet it remains soft, spreading calmly across the walls, the paths, and the quiet interiors of the homes. Inside the home, the mats now rest once again against the wall. They are still, folded, waiting. Their work is complete for now, yet they remain part of the room, part of the quiet rhythm that shapes each day. The wooden headrests sit beside them, unchanged, their smooth surfaces catching a gentle reflection of the morning light. The woman moves calmly through the space, her steps steady and familiar. The child follows, their movements light, still carrying a trace of the calm from the night. The man steps outside, pausing briefly as he looks across the village. There is a softness in everything. A quiet beginning that has not yet grown into the full movement of the day. Outside, the paths begin to fill again. People walk slowly, their footsteps light. Voices rise gently, blending into a peaceful hum. The Nile River reflects the growing brightness of the sky, its surface calm and steady, just as it has always been. The reeds along its banks sway softly in the breeze. Everything feels connected. The land, the water, the homes, the people. And within this connection, the simple way of sleeping on woven mats close to the earth remains a quiet, natural part of life. As the sun rises higher, the warmth of the day slowly returns once more. The air begins to settle, growing gently warmer with each passing moment. The coolness of early morning fades, leaving behind a steady and quiet heat. Inside the home, the day is now fully present. The woman continues her work, her movements calm and practiced. The child sits nearby, watching, sometimes helping in small and quiet ways. The man moves in and out of the doorway, his presence part of the steady rhythm of the morning. The beneath them remains the same. Firm. Supportive. Unchanging. It is the same ground that held their rest during the night. This connection does not change. In ancient Egypt, the body remains close to the earth at all times, whether resting or waking, still or moving. Outside, the village continues its gentle movement. People walk along the paths. Some carry water from the Nile River. Some move toward their daily work. Their pace remains steady, unhurried. A light breeze passes through, carrying the faint scent of water and earth. The reeds move softly. The river continues its endless flow. And as the morning slowly moves toward midday once again, the memory of sleep fades gently into the background, never gone, only waiting, ready to return when evening comes. The rhythm continues. Soft. Steady. Endless. The day, like so many before it, slowly begins to soften again across the quiet land of ancient Egypt. The sun lowers gently, its warmth easing, its light turning softer and more golden. The air begins to cool once more, moving slowly through the village, along the walls of each home. Inside, the familiar rhythm returns. The work of the day fades without effort. Hands grow still. Voices quiet. Movements slow. The mats, which have rested silently against the wall, are brought forward again. One by one, they are unrolled across the ground, their woven surfaces opening with a soft, steady motion. The wooden headrests are placed beside them. Simple. Unchanged. Always ready. There is no difference between one night and the next. No need for change. Because this quiet way is enough. In ancient Egypt, sleep was never something distant or complicated. It did not require height, or softness, or separation from the earth. It was close. It was simple. It was part of the same ground that supported every step during the day. As darkness returns, the sky fills slowly with stars once more. The wide stretch above becomes deep and calm, holding the quiet of the world beneath it. The Nile River continues its endless flow, reflecting faint points of light as it moves through the night. The reeds whisper softly along its edges, touched by the gentle breeze. Inside the home, the family lowers themselves once again onto the mats. Their bodies settle easily. There is no adjustment needed. No searching for comfort. Because comfort is already there in the steady beneath them, in the familiar shape of the mat, in the quiet presence of the night. The child drifts into sleep first. The woman follows, her breathing slowing into a calm, even rhythm. The man settles last, his body becoming still as the quiet deepens around them. The oil lamp flickers softly, then fades. Darkness returns. Not empty, but full. Full of stillness. Full of rest. Full of the gentle rhythm that has repeated for generations. And in that quiet, something remains unchanged. Not just the act of sleep, but the feeling of it. The closeness to the earth. The connection to the air, the night, the slow passing of time. There are no beds raised high above the ground. No layers separating the body from the earth. Only woven mats. Only simple rests for the head. Only the steady beneath everything. And that is enough. The night deepens. The stars remain. The river flows. And sleep continues, soft and unbroken, carried gently through the quiet hours. Then, without sound, without urgency, the night will begin to change again. The air will shift. The light will return. The mats will be rolled away. And the day will begin once more. Just as it always has. Just as it always will. The rhythm does not end. It does not need to. It simply continues slow, calm, and steady like the flowing of the Nile River, like the quiet breath of the land, like the gentle rise and fall of those who rest upon it. And so the story fades, not with an ending, but with a soft quiet. A calm that remains. A stillness that stays. As the night carries on, endlessly, gently and without sound.